putting together a big performance. And, well, here are the loot bet odds. HONORIS, supposed favorites in this series, Jay.
Yeah, that surprises me a little bit. I looked at the odds on HLTV and stuff as well. It seems that a lot of people are favoring HONORIS going into this series. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if HONORIS take it. I'm not saying that the LYNGBY Vikings are massive favorites going into this one, but I think this would be very, very close. I don't think that HONORIS are firm favorites by any means, especially considering their current record. I wouldn't be favoring them whatsoever here. Right now, going into this pistol round, Neo's making a hell of a lot of noise. No shots connecting so far for HONORIS. Rouse has just allowed a free kill, and he can get right out of there. Ryko does a whole load of damage as well. Rouse hasn't fallen right back to the site. Instead, he wants to contest further, and that cost him his life. Loads of damage has been dealt, but only one kill come through for the LYNGBY Vikings. And I think this might just be round secured for HONORIS.
We know how good this Polish T side can often be, and it's Neo providing all of the success with these pistols. A Glock triple kill there to get things started. Bit of a change of pace here for their second series of the day. Remember, the last was just a best of one. We'll see Vertigo take center stage again. I definitely could see a 3-map out of this one. I think whatever happens over in this series, there's a good opportunity that we go to all 3 here. Good opportunity to get a couple of rounds on the board, considering this is a full force for the LYNGBY Vikings. Not keeping any money in the reserve. Twinks as well. Just the scout. Everybody else with pistols carried into the second round.
Ryko opening up. Oh my, he's actually tearing through the defenses of HONORIS right now. This is a full investment from them, of course. It's just the pistols. Kevlar, but from Sky swings around the corner. A nice 1D from him. It's actually one of my favorite names of like all of these teams. Bird from Sky. Such a bizarre, unique name. Manages to grab himself an AK for his troubles as well. I think he just falls back and saves here. It's so difficult to retake this B site, especially with all this utility on HONORIS. Take the AK, take the scout, bring them into the next round where you're not really going to have a whole load of equity. Try and make them work in that one.
This seems to be the standard for many T sides in this current iteration of CS, where you win that first round, maybe towards the A bomb site, towards the middle of the map, and then you head towards the B bomb site against the LYNGBY. I think that seems to be the highest EV play in this iteration of CS, where obviously if you do get that bomb down in a way, the chance for a retake for HONORIS is, well, very deprived here. Obviously the retake chance for the LYNGBY Vikings. 2-0 right now for HONORIS. Maybe this is the only way for HONORIS to get a win on the board. Maybe if it's HONORIS versus HONORIS, maybe this is how they can take it over the top.
They beat themselves. Or it just goes overtime forever. It just never ends. We just see a world record on our hands.
Would this break the losing streak? That's the big question. If HONORIS beat HONORIS, would that be a good thing for their record?
I don't think that counts.
That doesn't count?
No, I wouldn't say so. Wow. So they come into round number 3. They should be able to close this one out. Actually, Taz going for a big bonus here. They've got quite a lot of cash behind them. So if they can convert this one, by the time the LYNGBY Vikings are on a buy, they can retain a couple of those rifles. I'd like to see that Galil and that Scout rebuy. They'll actually have a hell of a buy on their hands and plenty of money behind them. So as long as they can take this one with minimal casualties, if they can take that AK off of Bird from Sky as well, that could be a nice upgrade for one of those 3 top players. That would be a really nice outcome for HONORIS. And he's got to make sure to not throw this one away. Taz up close and personal. The flash goes over. He jiggle peeks it with the MAC-10. Doesn't actually want to commit to it. Instead, just gets the information. Nades go through, and he's going to fall right back.
This definitely makes sense here. Safety in numbers for the Poles, and they're going to completely break the defense of that B-bomb site. It was actually pretty weak, just considering it's only roused towards this side of the map. Now an opportunity for the MAC-10 to farm a little bit of money. Taz with 2 kills. That's a bonus $1,200 for him as well. So definitely going to be looking good as far as the cash is concerned. And there's the final pickup, along with the AK-47. So really just a maximum advantage round for HONORIS right there. The money gets an opportunity to blossom, and this is realistically just the best case scenario for them. They pick up an early AWP on Stomp. He's got the utility in hand as well. only really him without money. You see the rest of HONORIS, they've got plenty of cash for a double buy here in rounds number 4, round number 5. Well, this is absolutely stunning from them to start.
But from Sky taking a whole load of damage, especially with Rouse falling. Neo's opened things up with a double kill. The whiff from Twinks as well. Makes this very, very doable for HONORIS right now. A clinical headshot from Raiko opens things up further. Despite finding 3 kills here, they might not even commit to this one. They've taken this long control. There's 2 CT players currently over by the A bomb site. Taz just watching for these rotations. Hasn't caught anyone through lower tunnels as of yet, but he could be a key flank player, especially as actually Cabby and Macken are falling right back to the CT spawn. They're allowing HONORIS onto this site. I think they just go for a save call here, but they have Taz to deal with in the meantime. He's looking the wrong way. He's looking the complete wrong way. He might get caught off here instead.
This is actually quite hard to save these rifles if HONORIS actually gets any information that they're stuck towards the CT spawn. And with Stomp looking towards this side of the map, they only need one aggressive prompt to actually push LYNGBY Vikings out of this quite precarious position. Good start from HONORIS. I don't think that they're going to eliminate these final 2 rifles. I wonder how the bomb blast radius actually deals with these players down in the CT spawn. I think they should survive. But if you look at the minimap, they are very, very close to this C4. And Macken as well just going away. And wow, it is a lot of damage, but yeah, won't drop any of these rifles. Obviously know that bomb blast radius like the backs of their hands. Even just 1 HE, a little dossier nade down into CT spawn would have actually taken away Macken at least. Either way, 4-0, an opportunity for HONORIS to keep this scoreline rolling. 4-0.
No real investments going around those rifles. That's quite unfortunate though for HONORIS that they cleared out the entire rest of the map, like straight off the bat. As soon as they got that bomb down, they knew the LYNGBY Vikings were going to go for a save, and therefore they were hunting straight away. They instead went deep into that T-spawn, didn't catch him out. Cabby's got a good opportunity to drop the bomb here. He's done exactly that. Taz trailing behind is going to lose his life, and no one's there to trade it. That smoke's going to isolate things further as well. I'm not sure if Cabby's going to be able to hold on to this single-handedly. He's actually called the rotations, though. He's now got Macken here to support him. He may have single-handedly turned the tables of this round for the LYNGBY Vikings. Taz just a little bit too slow, joining his teammates over on long. That might have just thrown this one away.
HONORIS are just ignoring the fact that this bomb is dropped, heading towards the A bomb site, and as the reinforcements get radioed in, that's another rifle gone. And considering this is lots of sets of body armor for LYNGBY Vikings, a bit of a half investment, this has worked out flawlessly for the CTs. I don't really know what HONORIS can do anymore apart from hit the headshots. Look at this awkward configuration. We don't often see this. Might be a good opportunity for LYNGBY Vikings to get their first on the board. And with 30 seconds left, how is HONORIS going to break back into this reinvestment? It's all of the headshots coming in. Now they have to challenge the rifles. Bird from Sky, Macken, the final 2 remaining. There's the AWP for the next. And Stomp finds himself in a precarious 1 versus 1. He doesn't have enough time to get this bomb, so he needs to find the frag onto Bird from Sky right now, and he's taken the right avenue of approach. There's the quick scope. 5-0 bails HONORIS out of a lot of trouble there.
That was looking almost all said and done. A fantastic initiative play from Cabby to push up at the very start there and drop that bomb. But look at how HONORIS respond to this. It's absolutely fantastic. Prism finding himself a couple of kills, and then the AWP coming in from Stomp to clutch it up. Bird from Sky was in such an impossible position there, just stuck behind that wall, just had to hold it and keep his fingers crossed, take the 50-50, and he lost it. Cabby's got a nice angle with this AWP, and he spots out Taz. Oh, the flash not going to quite catch him. Second one might. It actually does. Forces Cabby right off this angle. Taz not going to contest it, though. For now, HONORIS just poking around, trying to take some control, trying to apply pressure onto the LYNGBY Vikings and force them back. They've got a double AWP setup to work with in this round, something we haven't seen so far. trying to change things up as they're 5 rounds down. Right now, HONORIS headed over towards short.
This should be the change of pace, considering it is a double sniper setup. I really don't like Taz just prompting aggression on his lonesome. When it works out, it looks like a genius. When it doesn't, he loses that easy opening for HONORIS. And, well, he doesn't have anybody to trade off his back. Rouse is negotiating his way into a very powerful position here inside the double doors. He's going to get 2 frags off the back of it as well. This stumbles the buy. Doesn't drop the bomb this time, so no absolute heartache, but the T's are falling apart at every single account, absolutely at the seams.
This is completely fallen apart for HONORIS. That's really the issue. If you don't put anyone to take that long control early on, or not necessarily the control, but at least just the control of the tunnels, and then you try to re-aggress and take it later, that's can be very, very problematic. Because if you go there straight off the bat, you can get there way before the CTs, you can contest that area of the map, even if you're not peeking the long corner, you can just make sure you secure that. If you don't, then the LYNGBY Vikings can put themselves in some really precarious positions. They can actually get right into that tunnel, which is really hard to deal with. They can get behind the door. They can put themselves behind blue container. And it becomes very difficult to deal with. HONORIS, it really felt like they threw that round away. Played that horribly, horribly wrong. Either way, with the 5-round lead, well, not the 5-round lead anymore, but 5 in a row, 4-round lead. They've got plenty of money behind them. They're going to reinvest straight back into this one. Try and bounce back the other way. The LYNGBY Vikings try and close this gap.
This is where we could see a big momentum swing with the double up setup. Usually quite powerful on a map like Dust 2. Rouse is playing a very aggressive stand. Waiting for the pop flash. It's perfect. All 3 flashed. Only able to find 1 in a bit of bonus for his troubles. Clock 80 seconds. As how are HONORIS really going to respond here? They've still got Stomp watching mid, but nobody from LYNGBY Vikings actually taking this Angel. Just wanting to turtle onto these bomb sites right inside their shells. And lessening down this clock. Looks like they're actually walking into the lion's share of the setup with only macking towards the B bomb site. Yes, the AWP is pincered towards the CT spawn, but he does have to watch double doors. That's his responsibility. Just allowing HONORIS from sliding in a null and void mid to B setup. Instead, we know this is going to be long control. You can see just off the mini-map. It puts Stomp in a bit of a sticky situation with the AWP. That was a very close shot there from Cabby. Now he wants to go for seconds, missing both of them. The AWP falling on deaf ears gives HONORIS a big option to go to this A bomb site.
Yeah, another very nice double kill from Neo to open things up. His head has been spotted. He should get taken out here by Macken, but they go for the save call nonetheless. It's actually remarkable that Prism was able to get that trade on long. After that perfect flash, you'd really be expecting Rouse to get 2 there. He could have maybe even got 3. Instead, he's only allowed 1 kill, and Prism, while full blind, puts a bullet in his skull. HONORIS then, after losing 1, they bounce straight back, put their 6th down on the board, and continue to apply this pressure onto the LYNGBY Vikings. They don't want to hunt for these rifles. They are going to allow them to save, which means that the LYNGBY Vikings will have another full investment going into this next round, certainly with that AWP on Twinks. But they need to start putting up these numbers. HONORIS are looking very comfortable on their map pick right now.
Remember, you can go to Hellcase, use the code Malta-V or Malta15 for 15% off. That deposit bonus right there. 6-1 on the board nonetheless. And HONORIS, this is an opportunity to try and reset the Vikings here in round number 8. They'll get 7-1, maybe even 8-1 ahead. Bit of a change of pace onto short. Effectively and assertively taking this control, forcing the AWP into more passive lines. There's the all-important opening.
It hasn't been Stomp necessarily every round, but it seems like HONORIS step up and find this opening pick over and over again. It seems to be a different man that does it. Twinks does trade that frag straight back. Neo's the man to pick up the AWP straight away, though. The flash comes over. He actually wants to contest this peak again. Try to get a sight line onto it. Rouse is pushed right up long and finds it. Neo's not allowed anything. The AWP now somewhat unretrievable. They could fall back and get it, but I don't think they want it at this point. They want to stick with these rifles. Taz wants to find this opening kill. As he creeps up catwalk, might just spot out Bird from Sky. It's not going to be the case, but as he wins, he should get taken out. He runs out of bullets as well. That's not the time that you want to be tapping away that ammo. As Prism gets taken out, an opportunity for HONORIS to get this one done, as they will be able to plant the bomb, but the retake's coming in hot already.
Assertive situation, and both of the kills just like that from Macken. Nation there with the AK. But in a retake, very, very assertive stuff to get LYNGBY Vikings their second round here on the board.
Well, HONORIS, they've still got plenty of money behind them, but this could be the start of LYNGBY Vikings breaking them. They've managed to convert 2 in the last 3 rounds. If they can keep this up, HONORIS will continue to have to reinvest into this, eat into their reserve cash, and all of a sudden they don't have this substantial lead that they had initially. Stomp unable to find that initial pick this time. Instead, it's Neo getting hyper aggressive on long. He has actually been flashed, but he's continuing to hold W. And Taz is the man to find the kill onto Rouse. In the meantime, Twinks and Bird from Sky have come through with 2 of their own, though. Bird from Sky has been tagged down to only 7 points of health, but nonetheless, it's the man advantage. HONORIS are gifted that long control, but a lot of blood had to be shed for them to gain it. The LYNGBY Vikings, well, they're all stacked up over towards this A site. All the tools in place to try and hold this one up as HONORIS creep their way up long.
Smokes on this cross usually makes things difficult, but Prism with a pair of headshots completely turns the tide on the A bomb site. Macken now in a world of trouble, especially considering that smoke goes up in full force. I think he has to push right through to get closer to this bomb site earlier than expected. And there's Prism to finish him as well. What a sensational grog kill to put HONORIS back on to 7. Nice assertive lead once again. There comes the reset. I don't think the LYNGBY Vikings can necessarily go for much of a buy in this 10th. And an opportunity for HONORIS to creep closer to double digits on their terrorist half. Okay, I think this is a map that they need if they are going to even think about winning this best of 3. Considering Inferno is coming next, we know that that's not maybe not a stronghold for the Vikings. There is an opportunity for them to claw things back. Still, me and Flakes recently casted HONORIS here on Dust 2. They got a 9-2 lead and somehow managed to blow that one as well. I'd like to see them capitalize off this strong start. An opportunity to get back on the board in the 4 spike here. A bit of a risk from LYNGBY Vikings. Double deagle. Very ragtag buy here on round number 10. This puts them very firmly behind, and HONORIS in the driver's seat if they can win this one.
Heavily relying on Twinks here with this AWP, who hasn't been overly consistent so far this map, and well, he's not even allowed to fire off a shot. He gets completely shut down. In the meantime, though, Cabby finds a couple of his own. The man advantage now lying with the LYNGBY Vikings. He is Molotov'd off, though. He can't do any more than that. His teammates fall, and he's unable to support. No trades can come through. Another Molotov goes down as well. There's no smoke to extinguish it. Instead, he runs through it. The flash is good. He might be able to find the first headshot, but it's not going to happen. Ryko puts him to bed, and HONORIS put their 8th on the board, dealing with that force buy from the LYNGBY Vikings perfectly. They're now just going to be up against an Ecos. They should be able to put their 9th down, and they're really keeping the Vikings at bay. They allow them to take 1, and then they bounce it right back, really staying in this driving seat position and plowing Dust 2, trying to just take as many rounds as they can on this T side where they're confident.
This is the moment where things can firmly start to swing out of control for the Danes. 8-2, only pistols in this 11th. There's every opportunity that HONORIS can creep even closer to double digits right now. We've been talking about that all-important 10th, and it seems all but secured with the B bomb site going firmly their way. Even at just the 90-second mark, the round looks practically over. Funnily enough, the money hasn't had any opportunity to build up for HONORIS. There is a path back into this, up to 6, perhaps, for LYNGBY Vikings. If they can step back into high gear as we go into the final 5 or so of this half, especially if they can pick up a couple of AKs right now and use that to good avail in the next. But we can see, unfortunately, it's the Mach 10 dropped. I don't think Rials wants to carry this through to the next. And well, this will be a 9th, 1 away from double digits here for HONORIS. And that is where things start to get scary here on Dust 2, where you have to say, is there realistically a chance to come back at that point? I think this is Counter-Strike. Anything and everything is possible. You almost saw a 13-2 comeback just a couple of days ago in the 9-5-3 on Dust 2. This does seem to be a very momentum-heavy map where those swings are very present, very prevalent. I love that Rails actually gets rid of that Mach 10, just puts it right in the bin here, and picks up an M4 instead. Great choice.
I think there's absolutely potential for the LYNGBY Vikings to pull this one back, especially if they convert this round and string a couple together off of it. The real issue is that I don't want to speak too soon, but HONORIS have been a very temperamental team, and I think that in a lot of recent games they've actually looked really, really weak early on. Today they seem a lot stronger. They showed some promise against Hellraisers. They're now looking quite confident against the LYNGBY Vikings. A very nice double kill from Cabby to kick things off. It goes right back the other way, and Macken, what on earth? I thought that was a free kill as he was behind Ryko there. But somehow that goes the other way. HONORIS looking like they're about to win this buy round and put their 10th on the board. And this is what I mean. They're looking a lot more confident. They're taking these aim duels. They're winning these aim duels. This isn't the HONORIS side that I've casted recently, where they've looked like really down in the dumps and they've kind of just been taking a few rounds here and there, but ultimately on the back foot almost all the time. This is a lot stronger.
This is such a weird map, all things considered. This is almost definitely going to be 10. Stomp does miss the shot. The bomb gets tapped. Stomp only has to wait a second or two, and he hits it nonetheless. That ends things on the B-bomb site. 10-2. Back in the dumps for the LYNGBY Vikings economy. You see that they're stuck in this eco cycle where they have to force by one, full by one, force by one, full by one. This time, they're stuck on the former. This force by here. But this is probably just going to be a half investment. No, they decide to eat the full force here at number 13. I think they're going all out to try and secure 5 rounds. A measly 5 on this CT half, it must be said. And well, more aggression yet again for HONORIS. Just no damage done as they burst out of the double doors. They're all upon long and applying the pressure one more time. And well, here come the kills again. Big gap in this smoke gives an opportunity to Twinks, but with Cabby just 7 HP, he is realistically being massively challenged, and Taz again getting the job done on this T side. There's the Molotov as well. Cabby is forced right back into the utmost corner in pit. This might be a 3-man entry. The A bomb site already taken. Cabby, what can you do? Wow. Remember this. Flank is fully being watched by Stomp. He's on full HP as well, so they need to find the kill outright to take him down. Luckily gets off the corner. He's going in for the pit. Well, there's the final prong gone.
Oh, Neo standing right out in the open there. Quite a dangerous position for him to be in. The issue is the flank's now been spotted. They know exactly where Bird from Sky is as well. I think Stomp seems to have an idea that he's still on short. That's the wrong guess. Bird from Sky is up close and personal. And all of a sudden, a round that was looking like a free one for HONORIS has gone right back the other way. Taz might even go for the save here. I don't think it's worth it. I think they've got enough money for him to go for this, and he lands a very clean headshot onto Bird from Sky. The head angle potential now as well, but it's not going to happen. Rouse comes through. That was a snappy headshot from Taz to find that one. came down to a very close round. I always find it quite comical when those flashes rain over long and you see those T's come out. And obviously we can see like what they can't see. So you just see 4 players right out in the open, effectively staring at each other, but they're all full blind. Unfortunately for the HONORIS, just swings the wrong way for them.
3. I think this needs to be 5 for the LYNGBY Vikings if they've got any chance coming into this second half. We know that they really do like this CT side. Nevertheless, they've been pounded to start things off. Finally, a double AWP set it back in hand as Cabby's able to retrieve that one. Takes a pop shot through the doors, but it doesn't come in and collapse. Remember that the HONORIS economy is already broken in round number 15 if they lose this one. See, Paz is already onto a FAMAS. Cabby seems to be missing everything right now. Finally, the AWP's going to good work, but this round could have very easily already been over.
I do really question Stomp's initial aggression. I know it almost paid off for him. He was sort of a millimeter away from connecting that shot. But actually to run straight down mid and take that engagement in the doors with an AWP, very, very dangerous. And effectively all it did was give an AWP to Cabby, and Cabby ended up finding 3 kills with it and securing the round. So Stomp making a huge, huge mistake, giving his opponents a weapon that they were allowed to single-handedly win the round with. And now Prism, he's trapped in a horrible position. I don't think there's any chance of him coming out of this one. He might be able to find this kill onto Bird from Sky. He actually does. That was such fast reactions. I don't think he's allowed a whole lot more than this. Twinks is holding from the car. As soon as he gets up catwalk here, surely he just gets taken out. And there we go. Bullet firmly in his chest. LYNGBY Vikings put their 4th down. An opportunity to take this as a 10-5 half, which all things considered wouldn't be too bad, especially if they win the pistol round. And I think that might be very, very likely right now, as HONORIS have no money behind them. They're just going to be down to these SMGs and pistols.
I think realistically this has to be a B rush from HONORIS. It's something that they haven't realistically done too often. And we know these Polish teams like a little bit of aggression to perhaps finish off the half, catch your opponents off foot. Instead it is towards long. 2 players instantly bursting their way out, using the flashes to crack open this defense. Up against the M4A4s here, LYNGBY Vikings have to start connecting with shots. We talked about Cabby missing a lot with the AWP in this previous round. Again, Raul's whiffing a big opening there in the final round of this half. And with the smoke's already going through, that is going to block off the CT angles. Raul's with another smoke to try and bail him out of trouble, but already sneaking inside these smokes. Bird from Sky's in the open. Be careful against the pistols. The T's are everywhere here. Just pushing relentless aggression, finding all of these kills, and now Maka needs to pull back a 1 versus 2.
I really don't like the way the LYNGBY Vikings played that, where they just kept pushing through that smoke and hoping that they could just lob a flash over and an M4 could push through and try and get the work done. Oh, I thought Neo was going to drop off there. That would have been a questionable one. That would have been really bad, yeah. Oh.
It's unfortunate. Not the way to end the half if you're LYNGBY Vikings. Shouldn't have really even been an opportunity there. HONORIS only had a couple of Tech 9s. They headed towards a long, which realistically, the Tech 9 should be pretty useless at that sort of range. They were able to get up close and personal with a lot of utility. And well, the former major champions in the form of Taz and Neo, they're 11-4 up here as they go onto their defensive half. A pistol round should realistically end this map. One that LYNGBY Vikings definitely need. And look at the odds as we get into the pistol. Massive advantage here for HONORIS. 1.04. 8.4. You get 8.4 times your money if you decide that LYNGBY Vikings are going to win this one. Over on loot.bet.
They're certainly not out of this. An 11-4 scoreline is one that we quite commonly see comebacks on. It just means that they're heavily relying on the pistol round right now. Whereas if it was 8-7, 9-6, it doesn't become too important. If they lose this pistol round, as you say, it's pretty much all over. Taz fires off some shots, can't actually convert anything there. It's rounds to come through. This is an absolute bloodbath on the B site.
Tom's got a challenge, and well, he knows where both of these T's are, but has to hit consecutive shots here. Only 3 bullets in the barrel, and he isn't going to be able to bring it over the top. 5 on the board for LYNGBY Vikings. We said that that was a round that they definitely need here on the T side. And you know what, Jay? I'd love to just see a full eco from HONORIS. Go for a buy in the third of the half. You get this extra $500 when you win, when you actually lose the pistol round. You start on $1,900. That means if you decide to save just the once, you end up with an extra $1,000. Whereas, yeah, if you lose the second, you get $1,000 less as a result of saving. Either way, they do decide to go for the force buy here in round number 17. I don't see why you'd be taking risks at this point. Obviously, you get a little bit itchy-footed when you are this far ahead, just wanting to close it out early. I just think this is a mistake. Play with rifles, get a full buy in hand, allow an easy round for the LYNGBY Vikings, and then try and take 12 just one round later. If you lose this, you're actually allowing LYNGBY Vikings to get onto a 7-11 scoreline before you get rifles back in hand. And then you're only a couple of rifle rounds away from this scoreline being even Stevens.
You very rarely see these buys come through, do you? When you've got a scout here, sometimes you see Neo hit some crazy shot and it work out, but 9 times out of 10, you actually see him either connect a body shot or completely miss here, and then the rifles prevail and swarm this site. I think you're absolutely right in saying this is a questionable buy. It's very easy to become overconfident when you have a 10-5, 11-4 score half. The issue is that you're not that many rounds ahead. Of course, 6 is all that's needed for the LYNGBY Vikings to level this one up, and Neo not connecting any of his shots so far. This is allowing the rifles to get much, much closer. This is going to be a bloodbath on this A site as they push through. Taz is good for 1. It's traded straight back. Ryko gets himself 2 snappy 1-digs. And this is becoming very, very doable for HONORIS all of a sudden.
What a painful try and take over by Long, and well, that just completely falls to pieces. Bird from Sky, I don't even think he's going to go for this one with only 3 seconds on the board. He's definitely not. Gives HONORIS an opportunity to pick up a couple of rifles. This is a hellish situation for the LYNGBY Vikings. That was their opportunity, as I said, Jay, back onto 6 and 7. Close up this scoreline, but apparently the gamble works out for the Poles, and this is why teams favor these sorts of investments. Let's see those 1-digs again. Ryko is the man with the plan on the A-bomb site. That second shot is so startling. I don't think Cappy is expecting for a millisecond that he's going to get his face blown off. And they respond right back with a buy of their own. Straight onto this B-bomb site. Prism's got to stand up with the AK. It's the spray down. Pretty much eviscerates the attack. There's Neo as well to chime through. The smoke grenade is going to completely cut up the Danes as this force buy does not work out. HONORIS seemingly have the magic touch here on Dust 2. They're significantly ahead. They'll get an opportunity against the Glocks here in the 19th. And, well, this might be curtains for the Danes.
It really could be. Not a single kill coming through despite the full investment. They really had to go for that full investment as well because Bird from Sky obviously saved in the round prior, so he got no money going into that round. A couple of players were on double eco anyway, so it wasn't surprising that they forced up. Oh my. Takes the words right out of our mouth there. Twinks, what a headshot to open things up. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. Of course, there's only pistols on his teammates and that rifle isn't retrievable. But that's still an incredible shot nonetheless.
This is another opportunity here for the LYNGBY Vikings. Opportunities that they've been consistently throwing down the tubes. I love that smoke bait in Neo. He's so good with these angles. 2 fully blind kills. And LYNGBY Vikings, they get dealt a pounding once again. These smoke grenades are horrible. Once more, Neo's got a big angle through, and I think he's actually just going to push this one. As the nades come in, he might be able to eviscerate everything. Is this going to be an ace? Tech 9 to do the job as Neo eviscerates everybody, maybe even ending this map.
I absolutely love that. As soon as he goes through that smoke, look at this. How do you reset from here? You spot that player, you realize there's one close to your left. That is beautiful stuff from Neo.
Nighty night.
Absolutely. HONORIS now, one away from match point. LYNGBY Vikings, I mean, they're just having to fully invest back into this one, and that full investment is what? A scout? A few pistols here and there. They have to land these shots, and for now, they're just being locked away. HONORIS should be able to put this one to bed, and well, I think they'll be looking at the second map right now. The LYNGBY Vikings, even though they're slightly favoured on their own map pick of Inferno, if they don't bring back a few rounds here and they end up just falling 16-5, I think their confidence is definitely going to be shaken.
HONORIS have lost 9 series in a row. You really don't want to see that awful stat get to double digits here. And this is a good opportunity to get 1-0 up in this series. Here on your map pick, take it decisively. We know that they're a very momentum-based squad. We've seen many great historical performances from Taz and Co. on Inferno. So an opportunity, and everything seems to be going wrong for the Danes. There's another configuration from Ryko. Stomp as well steps in. This should be match point for the Poles. Definitely. There's the confirmation. 15-5.
Absolutely. Match point now then for HONORIS. Nothing really in the bank for the LYNGBY Vikings. They've got themselves into this really horrible cycle over the last few rounds where they feel like they have to force into it. They can't allow HONORIS to extend their gap any further. And therefore, we've seen the last sort of 2 or 3 rounds where they've just had scouts and pistols and Galils. Whereas in hindsight, had they have ecoed for a round or 2, they could come into this one with an AWP, maybe even AKs and utility all round. Instead, they're just down to the Galils. Bird from Sky's done a hell of a lot of work from it. Gets himself that long control, finds himself a kill as well. Stomp bounces it right back and levels out the numbers, but well, the HP isn't fair at all. LYNGBY Vikings have dealt a huge amount of damage. They just need to make sure they convert this round. Prism gets taken out. The numbers sway back in the favour of the LYNGBY Vikings as they start to move over toward B. Or do they? Maybe not. Maybe they go back to A here. The rotations have actually been completely pulled from HONORIS. Ooh.
Very awkward performance. 5 rounds should certainly be a 6th here as the swing goes back in LYNGBY Vikings' favour, but nothing to shout or scream about here on Dust 2. Will be ripped out of the hands of HONORIS, and I'm sure they will be going for a force buy in the next. It's not much of a force, especially if Stomp does keep hold of this AWP, then they'll get 5 rifles in hand, but they are challenging him here. There's the one. Should just go down here to this AK. They know exactly where he is. This bomb, fairly far ticked, but he will go down. 6 rounds. Now need 9 in a row to close this to OT.
Nine in a row. That's a lot easier said than done, isn't it? Especially against a team that have got a load of confidence built up. The timeout comes through for HONORIS. Wonder what they're going to be discussing here. Do you think they're going to change up their defense off of the back of the LYNGBY Vikings taking that one? I think the only reason that really happened was because of the big play coming out from Bird from Sky on long, where they gave up the control that they normally are able to contest and hold on to straight away. Maybe they change up their approach towards long, play it a little differently.
It could be my fan favourite BM tactical timeout, just to make your opponents really stew in the mess of this map. Really not sure. Could be a little impromptu technical. Just click the wrong button instead. Exclamation mark tack instead of tech. and you find yourself with 30 seconds to resolve whatever issue. Either way, back into the action early. Double AWP setup for HONORIS. We did just want an honest discussion about this one, and that wasn't something that they discussed. A blind shot through the smoke for Neo.
Gives them that opener, and in a very important round, this double AWP setup working out perfectly for them as they've found the opening 3. This is surely all over. Bird from Sky and Cabby have got an impossible task on their hands to try and hold this one up. Ryko only with the Deagle here to hold up this A site, but he's got so many teammates to support him. Despite the fact that he falls, it's still a 4-on-2. The AWPs are in position to shut this one down. The smokes are up, and the LYNGBY Vikings could get the plant here, especially with that kill coming through for Cabby. They start to level this one out and make this fairer as it's now a 2-on-2. Taz comes in with 1, and now it's a 1 versus 1. How on earth does this happen? The AWPs found the first 3. It came down to a 3 versus, in fact, a 2 versus 5. But Prism closes it out. HONORIS takes it 16-6. I think had they not have won that round, they probably still would have closed out that game anyway. But to take it with such a dominant scoreline has to play tricks on the minds of LYNGBY Vikings going into map number 2.
Yes, awkward way to end there. 2 versus 5 almost whiffed, but all from start to finish, a very confident map for HONORIS. Just literally from start to finish, not really dropping many rounds at all on their map pick. Obviously, we go to Inferno next, which is more of a stronghold for LYNGBY Vikings. I think it's going to be more comfortable territory, but I think any map in this series is a bit of a coin flip. I would have preferred LYNGBY Vikings, or I would have probably given a bit more equity to them taking the 2-0 in this one. Nevertheless, the loot bet favourites do take map number 1 very convincingly. And we do go on to Inferno next, with Vertigo being a possible decider. I actually think that we're going to all 3 maps here, Jay. Make sure you stick around, because we'll be back at about 5 to 10 minutes. There's a second map coming up. Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Eden Arena. Malta vibes. We're here in week 8 with the elimination match between HONORIS and the LYNGBY Vikings, where HONORIS have actually just provided quite the surprise on Dust 2. After a 9-series loss streak, one map goes on the board, but a very convincing one at that. Here are those results from that first performance. You see Neo definitely leading the charge there, 25 kills. As a result, I don't think the LYNGBY Vikings really did get onto the scoreboard all too much, Cabby being one of the more standout players for the Danes. But a bit of a surprise and a bit of a shock to get us started in the series. Do you expect this continuing, Jay, as we get into the best of 3?
I'm not too sure. I think I wouldn't be surprised if HONORIS come into Inferno with a bit of momentum and actually manage to take it. I think that if they are going to end up taking it, it will be on Vertigo as we go onto that third map. They had an opportunity to warm up on it against Hellraisers. They did really give them a run for their money, taking it 16-13. So I think there is potential for them to take the series in the third. I don't have my money on them for Inferno. I think that they'll definitely struggle to take that one. However, we didn't talk too much. In fact, I didn't think we picked up at all on anyone's individual performance on Dust 2 for HONORIS. That there wasn't anyone where we were saying, oh, wow, this guy's putting up loads of numbers or anything like that. But then looking at that player comparison and seeing Neo on 25 frags, which in a 22-round game, that's pretty exceptional. Thinking back at that game, there were actually so many rounds where Neo opened up those kills, especially on that T side. And then moving on to that CT side as well, we saw a couple of crazy plays from him. We saw an ace come in as well, which I think bumped that up a little bit further, where he was getting super aggressive and actually calling flashes through smokes and things like that. He was really that playmaker. And yeah, it's no surprise that he was putting up those numbers. And if he can continue that going into Inferno, then we've got a hell of a series on our hands and potentially a 2-0. I mean, HONORIS, they've put themselves in a fantastic position.
Yeah, winning your map pick is exactly what you have to do. I've got to be honest, I feel like this has a large potential to go to all 3 maps here, and we see Vertigo once again, which I do realistically think would be a much more stalematey turf, considering both of these teams are relatively confident on it. We just saw HONORIS take 13 rounds just a few moments ago in that opening best of 1 against Hellraisers, where I don't think realistically if Hellraisers had put full focus into the veto, they would have allowed it to go to Vertigo. I think they were trying to get a bit of practice on that map. But we always know that HONORIS know how to take it in that sort of home turf. Those sort of home maps are very strong for them. I'd like this one to go to a Vertigo, to be perfectly honest. We see a best of 1 and a best of 3 today, but let's get into this action with the knife round, which is starting right about now here on our second map of this series. Good best of 3 on the board, I think.
Absolutely. I think if it comes down to Vertigo, it'd be a really interesting third map and definitely the one to separate these two teams. Right now, the LYNGBY Vikings should be able to take Inferno. You do tend to see this. They go onto their opponent's map. It's Dust 2. It's one that they don't fancy all too much. And they seem to struggle on it, but then bounce back on their own pick. It all really comes down to how sort of mentally these players are affected and how some teams, some players you see get really emotional and they're actually quite momentum based. If they have a rough game personally, or whether their team has a rough game, that can have a really detrimental effect on them. And actually if they feel like they're not hitting their shots or something like that, which a few of those LYNGBY Vikings players weren't, then that plays a negative effect going into the second map. Looking at these odds over from LootBet, they're a hell of a lot closer. They still ever so slightly favor HONORIS. Oh no, they've just switched. Now they favor the LYNGBY Vikings.
They're changing as we speak.
Very close. Yeah, people placing their money down before this one kicks off. Still
I would
very,
say that
very close,
makes a lot of sense, to be perfectly honest. Very, very close. Slightly favouring the Danes. Here on Inferno, it's their map pick. To be honest, that's what I would be expecting.
I think had HONORIS not taken Dust 2, I think those odds definitely would have swayed a lot further in the LYNGBY Vikings' favour. But taking Dust 2 in such convincing fashion, I think HONORIS are definitely still on the cards to convert this one if they can take these early rounds. A fantastic flash allows Ryko to go for a swing. The LYNGBY Vikings have actually fallen right back. They contested that early banana control. They no longer want a part of it. In the meantime, HONORIS have actually rotated 3 players over, so they need to be careful here. If they waste too much time, They could get caught out. Only 2 CTs to hold up this A site, but the rotations are starting to come through, and the flank comes through from Ryko. LYNGBY Vikings second guess it again, though. Are they headed back to B here? This would be huge. A great big bamboozle.
They need to check this corner, and they do. Ryko gone gives a chance onto this B bomb site, but there will still be a double defense. No flower pot boost, instead the smoke just completely cancelling out the rotate of Neo. And Taz, those Golden 5 members, getting completely slaughtered. There's Neo gone as well. Nice 5 versus 2, and the LYNGBY Vikings start things off strong here on Inferno.
Well, Maka making easy work of Prism there as well, and this was a very good round for the LYNGBY Vikings. I'm not sure if this was their plan or if this was an on-the-fly call to sort of take that early banana control. Okay, we haven't had any luck finding that opening player. Let's go back to A. Okay, right, we haven't actually found anything on brackets. They seem to have been given, they seem to be giving us this control, which actually means that they might be playing a double pit setup and maybe one on the site. We don't really want to walk into that. Let's head back to B again. And it just worked out for them like that. And in the meantime, they drew loads of rotations from the CTs. You were expecting it to be a B fake and then go into an A push. Either way, it worked out perfectly for them. They connected all their shots. They got that bomb down and kept several players alive too. So going into the second round, they're going to have plenty of money to buy into this one. We're actually seeing 3 Galils, an AK and a MAC-10 come out. A force buy from HONORIS, but nowhere near the same firepower.
So thus far, these force buys have actually been working out for the Poles. We saw over on Dust 2. Actually going their way probably led to a much more one-sided scoreline than otherwise we could see. This economy management on the CT side, especially on a map like Inferno, very, very powerful. HONORIS sometimes makes a couple of mistakes in this department. Picking up banana, smoke down, and well, it's just a flurry of kills for the Vikings.
That's unfortunate. Those flashes actually connect. Just the Deagles getting mowed down. Definitely got more than they bargained for. I think they were expecting to spot out 1, maybe 2 players. Instead, they had 4 up close to them with those weapons. Actually, those automatic weapons, which just added insult to injury. Now, a nice angle from Neo. Could get 1, but it's not going to happen. The LYNGBY Vikings should comfortably be able to put this second round on the board as well. Now, looking good, kicking things off here. I actually really like to see Stomp as well. He invested into this one with his teammates, buying that scout, of course, but he does save some extra money, which means he will be able to buy that AWP in the buy round. You see all too often the AWPer sort of investing with the rest of his team when they go for these like Deagle Kevlar rounds, and then when it comes to the buy, he has to be down to a rifle too. Can't pull out the AWP until later in the half. That's not going to be the case this time. LYNGBY Vikings, though, will be able to take that early advantage. And it will be probably another as well, as HONORIS will be forced into an eco in the next.
I think we'll only see USPSs come out from HONORIS, although I hope that's the case. Another force and overinvestment wouldn't make any sense in this scenario. You very often don't see a team go for this. The only real time on the CT side that you would want to go for a double force buy is if you're finding all 5 kills in consecutive rounds, keeping this money nice and low, and you can actually come in with this one, a competitive buy. Nevertheless, 2-0, and the LYNGBY Vikings, I think they're going to be feeling fairly good about this change of pace going into the second map. A couple of rifles salvaged. Got only that 1 SMG from Bird from Sky as he starts raking in the money.
They really are. If they can actually keep these players alive too, they could probably stick with these Galils in the next, and then just have loads of money in the bank. We could see some players at the 4, 5, maybe even 6k mark going into the next. You just have to hold on to these weapons. Don't want to be reinvesting here. They're just against the pistols. They should just be able to mow them down, rack up some cash, rack up some kills for that KD. That's exactly what Twinks is doing.
For HONORIS, it's damage and only damage. That's the goal here in round number 3. If they can take away even just one of these rifles, I think they'll feel just fine about this scenario as they go into the initial rifle round in number 4. I think we will see the AWP onto Stomp. We went for a fairly null and void investment in round number 2. Puts him up to the $3,300 mark. Means he can actually get out this sniper early with, what is this? I think $2,900 is going to be the loss bonus here for HONORIS. Well, there's another kill. That's the damage starting to be poked into the B-bomb site. I don't think they'll give Neo another opportunity, but they also want to keep that AK in hand. If you can find one more headshot, then perhaps a chance. And that Molotov is actually really smart here. I think the bomb is actually going to blast that rifle back, and Neo should be ready and waiting for it. There we go. Blast it right past him. And that's only a Galil in hand, so no AK. I think he'll want to hold on to this one nonetheless.
Wow. It's a nice headshot for him to find, especially right at the end there. Means they're actually able to do a fair bit of damage on that eco. You really hope for 2 kills. You don't really expect a whole lot more than that. So they've done quite well. They're 3 rounds down now, though, and this is their fall buy. They need to try and convert this one. And if they don't, they just allow the LYNGBY Vikings so much leg room to work with. Twinks is getting aggressive in Banana, wants to try and find this opening pick. That Molotov forced him right into the corner, but it gets smoked off. That is going to give away his position as the nades rain in. Look how much damage has been dealt early on. One even comes through to get the kill for Prism. A 2-man advantage and loads of damage dealt onto Twinks. And I don't think there's actually been a fair firefight yet. This has all been down to the utility from HONORIS.
That's always a good sign, because that is something that you can replicate in further gun rounds, especially if the LYNGBY Vikings are going to make similar mistakes. Going on to Banana especially is a danger zone. I always talk about these red areas on Inferno especially, where you just cannot stand. Both as the CT and the T side. This time it's the attackers that actually take the bulk of the damage. Towards the B-bomb site right now, where they're trying to use this AWP to open things up. I love this passive approach from HONORIS. They're finally going to get the information and spot out both of these Ts. This should do overwhelming amounts of damage here. Neo's right over the top. It's a boost they're not going to check for. And once again, this round is very over. This time, Macken just trying to put in some bonus damage. Bit of a mistake from Neo to charge into this. I think they knew that the damage had been done. They need to prevent this bomb from going down. And, well, that's a freebie. And realistically, quite a big mistake.
That really is. Somehow they managed to make that really, really costly. Macken going quite big there at the end. Taking away a couple of rifles from HONORIS, which means they'll have to reinvest here when they don't have a huge amount of money to do so. If you look at Ryko right now, he's actually going to struggle to buy here. I think he's going to have to rely on a drop from one of his teammates. That bomb going down as well means that the LYNGBY Vikings have got plenty of extra cash to buy into this one. That really shouldn't have panned out like that, especially considering it was a 5 versus 1 situation. HONORIS should have just been able to put that one to bed with no casualties whatsoever. Maybe 1 at the very least. Either way, they're able to fully invest here. 4 rifles and AWP. They've actually carried across 2 AKs as well, which could be pretty pivotal. This AWP going for this early pick. Stomp actually getting super aggressive, trying to work with this gap through the smoke. He does connect the first onto Bird from Sky, looking for the second as well. Spam's come through. He actually gets tagged down to 10 HP. Just narrowly gets away with his life. No, I spoke too soon. Perfect nade comes in from Rouse, and now the numbers level out into a 4-on-4.
This is where things get a little bit dodgy for the CT side. They need a pretty convincing round here if they're going to get that money rolling on the defensive half. Obviously, it's very important to have that cash firing on all cylinders as you get into the bulk of these CT-sided rounds. Taz just hunkered down inside of the pit. Still 60 seconds for LYNGBY Vikings to work with. They could backtrack into the B-bomb site, but realistically, we can see the defense is actually nicely poised to take care of this with the third rotator wrapping over. That's Ryko. They've radioed in for reinforcements, and well, they're all here. Let's see if they get cut down by the AKs. Perfect flashbangs! And what a double headshot. Absolutely cuts apart the defense. And the LYNGBY Vikings, this should be an easy 4th.
if we're able to get a replay on that, you'll actually see that Cabby wasn't expecting to get that second kill. The flash came over, he spotted the first that was right in front of him, and he just popped a couple of bullets in his head, and he ended up killing the long corner player as well. They lined up perfectly. I think it was actually a wallbang headshot to convert. That's absolutely mental.
You know, Jay, that's
well.
like when you open up your chicken McNugs, you've ordered 6, and there's 7 in the packet.
Absolutely. That is one of those. That is one of those big moments. I went to McDonald's the other day, ordered 3 mozzarella sticks, and they gave me a share box. I was very happy. Yeah. Made my
service? Day. I bet it was under the Eat Out to Help Out deal as well, where you got half price.
Yeah, exactly. So my 3 mozzarella sticks were already like 60p, and they gave me like 10 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good deal. You get similar deals over on Loot Bet or Hellcase, since they're actually paying us. 4-1. Still a buy for HONORIS. Bit of a dodgy round right there, but realistically, I don't know what you can do about that one. They got flashed to oblivion on the A-bomb site. I think even without the double headshots coming through, that round was pretty much over either way. HONORIS, they might get stuck in the mud here. They need to collapse and convert. And Neo is doing so. Able to get traded out there. You can't spot the Emperor when S traces through that smoke. Nevertheless, it's a nade to take care. A nice trade over towards A. And they haven't spotted out Prism. He's in a key kingpin position as he misses those initial shots.
That's really unfortunate. If he converts 1 there, gives him the man advantage. Potential for him to even find 2, but he completely whiffs it. And they've got a good opportunity of making this one work. All 3 CT players are here for the retake. They're all coming in from different angles as well, so they'll have a nice pincer. The issue is that the LYNGBY Vikings have the info on the player in the apartments, and Cabby has gone absolutely massive yet again. A fantastic flash from his teammate allows him to convert 2, and Stomp has to go for this save right now. He can't even go for any exits. He has to get away here. He has no idea where the remaining 2 players are. No time on that bomb either. LYNGBY Vikings put their 5th on the board. They're looking so confident on Inferno. We didn't see this at all on Dust 2. They really looked like they were struggling, especially at the start of the game. This time they've flipped it right the other way around.
This certainly has to be a changing pace moment for HONORIS. They take a tactical timeout as a response. They're significantly stuck in terms of cash, and it's a little bit polarized with Stomp able to save an AWP. No investment just yet. I would be heavily expecting a couple of pistols here, maybe a set of Kevlar here and there. Just a half buy carried into round number 7. I would not prefer a force, considering just how hard these CT rounds have been to take over the top. And I feel like HONORIS, it's their CT side that kind of lets them down, especially on maps like this. When they're rocking and rolling, we saw Neo and Taz, that Dream Team combination over on Dust 2. They were finding all of the opening picks, got the job done on their T side, and it was, well, all a matter of winning the pistol and closing it out early on our first map of the day. I think Inferno is going to be very different here, especially if they keep letting rounds slip. This is why I heavily predict we're going to the third map in this series, with Vertigo being firmly on the cards. I can't think of many HONORIS series that I've casted as of late that haven't been to all 3 maps. They seem to absolutely go the distance in the majority of their series, whether it be a closely contested best of ones going to 28, 29 round OT as well, so it's on the card for this squad. Well, once again, the defense does get ripped up on the B bomb site. Seems to be a very easy round here for the Danes. This will be 6th.
It makes it all the more heartbreaking, doesn't it? When you're going to the 3rd map, when you're going the full distance in these best of ones, taking it to OT and things like that. When you're on this horrible losing streak. If you're just being dominated, I think you probably just call it quits. But when you're keeping it so close, it's just crushing when you lose it. I think Stomp is just going to go for this save call again. LYNGBY Vikings are actually going to allow him to have it. I'm surprised they don't hunt here on the basis that they have loads of money in the bank. I don't think they're expecting him to be in CT. Either way, they put their 6th on the board. HONORIS really looking like they're struggling. Going into the next round, it's going to be a full buy from them. This is really their chance to try and contest this, because as you say, they might have a burst of energy on their T side. It's exactly what they did on Vertigo in this best of one earlier on against Hellraisers. But the issue is they gave away too many rounds in the first half. Round number 8 now, opportunity for us to talk about our partners over at Hellcase. Make sure you use code MALTAV15 for a bonus on your refill.
There we go. I think HONORIS need a bit of a refill here. The double AWP setup might be the way to go. Stomp sends the single sniper towards the A-bomb site, where he is actually forced back and he just doesn't even take the shot. Twinks is a little sooner to the trigger. And that is a massive opening here. HONORIS, how are they going to respond? It seems to be a fairly fast tactic towards the A-bomb site to get things started, force over the rotates, and back to basics over towards this B-bomb site where it's only Neo holding. He doesn't have any banana control here. Means he's going to get the information quite late. He cannot call the second rotate over after only seeing an HE. He needs to spot players. He needs to spot flesh right now. And, well, he's not going to see anything with the flashbang exploding in his face. There's a shot. Drops the bomb. And now another opportunity for Twinks, especially as the Molotov forces Neo out into the open. A big scrap on the B-bomb site. And there's a lovely nade exploding in Macken's face as Reals has to get it all done in the 1 versus 3.
Well, this is a horrible situation for him to be in. An opportunity for HONORIS to get back into this one. That's exactly what they've done. Converted this round, put their second down. They need to continue to steamroll this, otherwise they're potentially going to allow the LYNGBY Vikings to take too many rounds on their T side. And that's what I was talking about before. That's what happened on Vertigo. They gave up an 11-4 half straight away. And then when they went on their T side, they picked it up really well. They managed to string a load of rounds together and they were looking really good. But they just gave away too many rounds in that first half. And they're really conscious of doing the same here. If the LYNGBY Vikings take a 10-5, 11-4 half, I think their fate is sealed. If it ends up being a close one, though, HONORIS actually pull back some rounds here. I think this second half's definitely still in contention. Ooh, nice nade.
And once again, it's this utility usage. We need to see that with a little higher consistency. It does do 50 damage, split across a pair of players, so perhaps won't have any effect in this 9th round. But when you start to combine those HEs, and you maybe take one player cleanly away, maybe even take somebody sub 30 HP, that's where you see the utility really having an impact. Of course, teams like Astralis historically have been phenomenal with that nade damage, big as well as of late, often post some of the highest utility damage in the tournament. I'd love to see, it was a kind of a staple on Reddit at one point, comparing teams' utility damage to their placing in the tournament. I'd love to see a Sloth Squadron or somebody with a real grasp of the numbers put together those sort of charts, even for these tournaments, and see, right, HONORIS, where does their utility damage actually stack up? Stomp's been having a really messy performance here. He's missed a lot of fairly routine shots towards mid. I think he has to step up.
Very little time on the clock here, down to just 14 seconds. They have to try and get this planted. The issue is there's still so many TTs on this site. Even if the LYNGBY Vikings can convert a couple of kills here, there's still plenty to take them out, and it's Prism to find the final kill. They question the double up setup there, but they decide against it. HONORIS put their third on the board. I like what you were talking about, though, the idea of actually the utility damage in comparison to their placing in the tournament. Counter-Strike, of course, all comes down to these odds. When you look at these angels and these engagements that are taken, it's, right, okay, here's an engagement that's taken here, here's the odds of this player coming out on top, here's the odds of this player coming out on top, and then it comes down to the sort of round win percentages after you have that initial kill and things like that. And when you get kills with utility damage, like this right now, Twinks has just been taken out of the equation straight away. So if HONORIS have a 70% chance, for example, of converting the round after that initial engagement, then look at this. They're already in the front right now. Ryko's just found another kill with that grenade, exactly what you were saying. The consistent utility damage. thins out numbers of the T's straight off the bat, and it makes it so difficult for them to contest. There's no opportunity. It goes from being a 50-50 odd split on who wins the aim duel to just 100-0 because there's no opportunities for Vikings to bounce back.
Oh, Neo, it looked like they were actually checking that flower pot boost angle, but he gets 2 kills, drops the bomb, practically ends this round. Cabby's challenged. You've got to get a quad kill. Otherwise, it's going to be HONORIS on 4 rounds here. It's just never going to happen with Stomp watching from CT. There's just no smoke to isolate these defenders. And HONORIS get the job done once again on that defensive half, prompting another tactical out, this time from the LYNGBY Vikings. They've not got a lot of money here, Jay.
An opportunity for HONORIS then to close this gap. Of course, the LYNGBY Vikings were 6-1 up. Opportunity for them to string that further, have a dominating T-half. That's just not going to be the case. Do we get to see? Yeah, we do. Look at this spray transfer from Neo. This is mental. You very rarely see a spray transfer like that with the M4A1S. There doesn't tend to be enough bullets in the chamber to convert multiple kills out of it in that kind of fashion. Either way, incredible skill from Neo there, and 2 very important kills for him to find to secure the round for HONORIS. Very minimal investment coming in from the LYNGBY Vikings. This should just be a clear-cut round for HONORIS. There's no Kevlar on that T side. If they can continue using these grenades like they have been, it might just be a complete shutout.
Should be an easy 5th here, all things considered. This would be a massive blunder if HONORIS are somehow able to throw this away against a couple of P250s on the A-bomb site. Stomp holds them at bay. Feels like he hits all of the hard ones and misses the majority of the easy ones thus far in Dust and Inferno, in fact. That's the 5th. Nicely bringing this scoreline back. And for my money, HONORIS are far better at this T side, pretty much across the board as well. Even on a map like Nuke as well, I've seen them a lot of times take 9 to 10 T-sided rounds and sometimes still even losing the map. Here on Inferno, this is a bit of a T-sided map, so I'd be expecting LYNGBY Vikings to take 7, 8, 9. Otherwise, with a pistol going HONORIS' way as well. This might be curtains in this series, already 1-0 up as well. You can see that LYNGBY Vikings actually don't want to go towards Banana at the start of these opportunities, just because they're scared of these HONORIS nades. See just a flurry of Molotovs as well from them to start things off, assume a little bit of control. This creates danger towards the top of Banana, and LYNGBY Vikings have to be that much more careful before taking this map control.
That's exactly what it does, doesn't it? When you're so consistent on taking that banana control as a CT side, it means that even when you're not taking the control straight at the start of the round, your opponents are still scared of it. They don't want to get in there. They might get nades stacked. Prism right now has got a fantastic opportunity to find 1, maybe 2. The flash comes in, he swings out. He's good for 2 frags, maybe even the 3rd. It doesn't quite convert. Macken trades it, but in the meantime, his teammates fall like flies and he's down to 13 HP. There's surely no chance this comes through. Stomp starting to be a little bit more consistent with this orb, even swings around and gets the no-scope from behind. Fantastic shots coming through for him. And HONORIS leveled things out 6 to 6. What a round.
Certainly was. Levels out the playing field. Look at this spray down. How much damage is dealt there? Over 290, Jay. 6 to 6 being the result. Stomp starting to step up. I was critical of him earlier. Now he's 10-5 on this CT side. Exactly where we want to see him here to potentially close out this series. It's an awful buy once again from the LYNGBY Vikings. This might be HONORIS taking the lead for the first time on Inferno.
I really like it when a CT side have that run boost set up and they can just consistently do it every time without any blunders. It means that that AWP can get across and actually put themselves in an advantageous position to find that initial pick, especially if there's another AWPer on that T side. Right now, 6 to 6. Fantastic opportunity for HONORIS to make it 7. Even the flash coming into Banana. Ryko actually going for a peek here. He's hungry for these frags. Bit of a false positive as he's jump spotting. He can't see anything, but little does he know there's 3 players hiding here, and here's the initiation push. They're charging right in. He's only good for 1 as he's traded. Cabby retrieves himself an AK, and with Kevlar on his back as well, this could be dangerous. A 4 versus 4 now as they charge onto this B site. It's Neo to hold it up.
Quite an awkward place to get this bomb down on the floor. With the kills coming through, Bird from Sky do get traded out. HB does become a real issue here, especially with an AK-47 in Taz's hands. Bit of a double swing as he finds one and the second. That's up to 7 for HONORIS. One that, if you looked at the start of this round, would have been, well, pretty guaranteed. Nevertheless, it's a 7th round there for the Poles. The opportunity for a couple more before this one is said and done. But the money is flawless for the LYNGBY Vikings coming into this buy opportunity. They're going to have AKs, the AWP, all of the utility you could ever dream of, even Twinks. He gets the AWP out, also a bit of utility as well. Pretty much a full set for all 5 players.
Well, as they call this timeout, not a bad time for it. They've lost 6 in a row, and this kind of has to be a turning point for them. HONORIS have already secured themselves an 8-7 half at the very least, which, as we discussed before, is very dangerous. To allow HONORIS to take that many rounds on their CT side, especially on Inferno, when they heavily favour that T side, you're playing a very, very dangerous game. And they really need to convert this buy round. If they don't, they give HONORIS the opportunity to take it 8-7 in their favour, maybe even a 9-6. If that happens, I don't fancy your chances. So far, they've got loads of momentum. They've taken the last 6 rounds in a row. They're looking to make it 7, maybe even 8. But from Sky, throwing that early Molotov. Wants to try and stop this initial aggression from HONORIS. The 2 nades do come in. They actually do very minimal damage, though. And it means that LYNGBY Vikings are allowed to let their leg room. But look at this angle from Stomp. He really needed to hit that shot. That might give the Vikings a little bit of a lifeline to work with here.
I'm never usually critical of HONORIS, especially when they do play very aggressive in these scenarios. You see Taz does get taken out there, but I do feel like the Poles are playing to their advantage just by prompting a little bit of aggression in these rounds. They're obviously catching LYNGBY Vikings on the back foot, just not this time. 7-7 looks to be an all but guarantee, as the B bomb site has been, well, completely excavated. LYNGBY Vikings, they'll realise that there's no members of the defence towards this side of the map, and should be a very easy round as a result. I'd like to see these final 2 players from HONORIS save. I'm pretty sure that they can actually get out of bite anyway, so they might as well just go for the 2 versus 5 here, I guess. I don't think it's really going to matter much. Stomp, remember, he's going to be practically at max cash. He'll have just under $1,400 taken into the next. I think you can buy up for practically everybody here. So just looking for some bonus frags, perhaps. Don't think saving makes much sense here at all. I'd rather just see them dive into this. Now with an AK in hand, I guess you can try and save that. It's a premium rifle that you wouldn't have in round number 15, but bomb's too far ticked. And the Vikings are going to survive. We're alive. An even scenario again.
7-7 HONORIS. They are going for this double AWP setup in round number 15. Neo not actually dropping the one that he saved over to Stomp. Stomp's actually going to buy one of his own. So, opportunity for HONORIS to put themselves onto 8 here. This is what we like to see. Round number 15, full contention. Both sides with the absolute maximum they could. All the toys to play with. Stomp wants to go for this initial peek. Twinks is at the bottom of mid holding it, and he seems to know that. He doesn't want to go for this pick. In the meantime, Rouse has found himself one of his own onto Neo, and that's drawn a lot of attention over towards B. 3 CTs actually stacked up over there now. They're really expecting this to be a B push, but LYNGBY Vikings aren't committing to anything. The bomb's still down around T-spawn area, so this was all just a big fake. Draw a load of attention, fall right back. Now they're heading towards A.
It's a ruse that seemingly HONORIS have fallen for. They've only got 2 players towards the side of the map. A lot of pressure on Prism here. Full flash comes in. And it's the Tech 9 to take him out. There's Cabby with another one. Taz has actually poked in with a lot of damage in the meantime. And there's a chance for Raiko to actually drop this bomb. He goes for the swing. He's getting close to this bomb site, but I'm pretty sure that they have no idea that Cabby's within Graveyard. There's another one versus one opportunity. Grenades, yes, they're going to go through. As Cabby needs to be careful as Stomp is coming right through that smoke. And that's 8 robbed away by HONORIS.
I have absolutely no idea how the LYNGBY Vikings don't close out that one. They walked onto essentially a free site. They just took a little too long to get that bomb down and they were punished for it. Stomp comes through with a massive clutch here. That's really nice stuff. HONORIS then somehow take the half despite being 6-1 down. They actually come out on top 8-7, and you've said it several times so far, but I'll say it again. That's a dangerous scoreline to have for HONORIS going on to their T side. If they can take this pistol round, I absolutely favour them going into this one. The odds over at LootBet, oh, they don't agree with me apparently. Oh, no, yes they do. They do now. See, they switch, so, like, people just place bets just so blasé. Yeah.
They're trying to bait us. 8-7, all-important pistol for both teams. I would say that whoever wins this pistol would be ever so slightly ahead. And with HONORIS having the 1-round lead, feels like they do have the momentum in this server right now. Let's see if they can actually close this one out. Nice flash, just forces HONORIS off these angles, and that's quite a headshot for Rouse. Does backtrack to the B-bomb site. There's lots more work to be done, and another flash to come through. That's a secondary headshot. Raiko is history.
Well, despite all the information gained, there's been no rotations pulled. Now Cabby starts to come round, and that's actually where the fake comes through for HONORIS. The bomb starts to head back over towards A. The issue is they've been spotted. What do they do here? 2 CT players coming back round to A. If Taz could have found that kill onto B, it maybe would have opened something up. Instead, they're all just playing a game of Ring of Roses, dancing around this map, undecisive of where they want to plant this bomb. Right now, Stomp seems to have spotted out the player in Graveyard, tapping away. He dealt loads of damage. These USPs need to connect. Twinks does find himself one, but a Stomp takes one right back. Oh, these are just whiffs. It's whiff central for HONORIS. They've scuffed so many of those Glock kills. It falls in the way of the LYNGBY Vikings, and we level up 8-8 now.
I would say that this is a slight advantage, despite this being a bit of a T-sided map. We'll see what HONORIS have in the tank for this terrorist side. This has to be just a guaranteed save here. They've been force buying into all of these opening rounds, but without the bomb going away, it does feel like you have to eat the eco and just challenge these, well, what should be a bonus from the CTs in the 3rd and upcoming round. Lots of opportunities on the board for LYNGBY Vikings to actually double up, get some bonus money, get the cash rolling. You want to sit at the $5,000 mark by round number 4 if it's possible. Realistically, minimum casualties is your goal. Realistically, 0 casualties is your goal in a round like this. Don't want the blocks being able to do too much at all. I think a bomb plant would be a disaster here for the LYNGBY Vikings. Can't really see it happening considering HONORIS are all out of utility. Their investment is absolutely nothing. Just a 1P250 on Raiko. And while a crossfire to break, cannot see it happening here unless Cabby makes some massive mistakes. I think there's the response. Easy cleanup. Very nice clearance.
The issue is, and it hasn't really come into play here, as Cabby was actually only allowed 1. But you feed that MP9, and that becomes so dangerous because you end up just giving him a load of cash. You're almost better off just throwing yourselves off the map at that point instead of giving him $600 a piece for those kills. HONORIS unable to get a bomb plant there. LYNGBY Vikings put themselves ahead again. the only saving grace for HONORIS right now is it's looking like the Vikings are actually going for a bonus round. And with such little investment in the last, it means that 3 players are down to MP9s. Macken's on this for mass. So they've got a very, very good chance of converting this one. My only fear is their lack of utility. But they've got the smoke grenades, and I feel like they're really what's important here on Inferno. They should have a good opportunity of taking out these MP9s as long as they keep their distance.
This is the risk that you do run on the CT side. This is why I call these particular rounds a bonus. You see that Cabby has had to invest, so the money will be a little polarized going into round number 19 if HONORIS are able to take it over the top. Nonetheless, LYNGBY Vikings, I don't think damage really matters here. They're just trying to either win or lose the round. It's very binary at this point. Trying to roll that score line up to double digits and beyond here on Inferno. This is their map pick, and we know how confident Danish teams especially can be on these CT sides. Just for a number of years, it feels like they've got a depth of players, very good fundamentals in Counter-Strike. See if that's enough to push them over the line in this particular map and get us onto Vertigo, which would be a bit of a coin flip in this one.
You're absolutely right in saying that this isn't really a bonus round for the LYNGBY Vikings. They've kept their weapons from the last, but so many players on fairly low money here with the absolute minimum loss bonus. They're not going to be able to invest a whole lot into the next if they can't convert this. For now, though, Cabby single-handedly pulling it off for his side. Finds himself another 3K. This man has been absolutely instrumental. A very integral part of the LYNGBY Vikings' successes so far. Another 3-piece for him, and Stomp, well, timing's going to work out for him. He is just about going to be able to get away with this AWP. The issue is that there's not really the money on his side to invest around it, and he's got no cash from that round. So he can't even buy Kevlar to back this up. He is just going to be on a glass cannon again. And his teammates don't really want to invest around him because this would be a round where they just go for an eco. Maybe we see a couple of deagles come out, but I can't imagine there's a whole lot more than that. It does mean, though, that when the buy comes through, Stomp's going to have no money behind him.
Don't think I need to say this, Jay, but that is a tragic round for HONORIS. An opportunity for the LYNGBY Vikings to pick up 4 AK-47s. You see what this means for the economy as well. Minimal investment from them here in round number 19. Means that money can be firing on all cylinders before we get into another HONORIS buy round. Realistically, the Poles have to do tremendous amounts of damage. It puts the pressure on this 19th and 20th. Otherwise, LYNGBY Vikings are already going to be on the home straight. This is the perfect start to your CT side. Winning that bonus flawlessly is just the icing on the cake here for your lead. And I just feel like HONORIS have made this series far, far harder for themselves. Even if they had found 3-4 kills worth of damage, even 2 or 3 kills worth of damage right there, this is a way better position than they're in right now. This is a nightmare. What I think a lot of players would wake up in hot sweats at midnight about. It's another shot away. Oh, 2 for 2. Not too bad. As HONORIS should be able to get a bomb down on B. I don't know if there is a smoke for a cross. It doesn't seem to be in place. As Twinks finds 1, 2, and well, there's the third from Twinks as well. Very nice shot away before the C4 can cause complications on the B bomb site. A bit of damage done. I think 3 kills worth there, but nothing to shout or scream about. The LYNGBY Vikings economy still looks perfect. And now they've got a lead of 3.
HONORIS seem to be no stranger to being a few rounds behind and pulling it back. They allow their opponents now onto double digits. It becomes dangerous. Realistically, they want to start to try and pull it back here. They've got the AKs to work with. If they can win this round, they put themselves onto 9. They certainly don't force their opponents onto an eco. I think they're actually going to have to string together a couple in a row to be able to do that and make sure that their opponents aren't able to save any weapons either. Because if, let's say they take this round and the Vikings save 2 or 3 rifles, then they'll just continue to have this really strong economy and they can just invest over and over again. So far, HONORIS are playing fantastically in this round. They've taken the opening 2 kills. I'm not sure about that from Ryko. They know that Bird from Sky is up close and Ryko just gets massively overconfident there and tries to finish him off. Either way, the man advantage still retained. Plenty of time on the clock for them to work with as well. They're really desperate for this banana kill. But in the meantime, it's actually Taz and Prism who've pushed right onto this A site, realised it's completely clear. Probably going to be able to go pick up that bomb and take it for free. I think the LYNGBY Vikings just go for the save call here.
I always find Inferno just to be like a beautifully poised map. It's a little bit of a dance to get onto the correct bomb site. And well, with HONORIS winning this massively important round, it puts them on to 9. That's nothing to brag about. But looking at this money, you finally have to whittle it down in a way. I think there still might be 2 buys in a row, depending on whether they can keep this AWP into the next. We've got an upcoming 21st round. Cabby still trying to save the sniper, and I think they've got all of the information here. There's the swing from Neo. Nice, accurate headshot through those coffins. And there is a 9th secured. We knew that for quite some time. But now an opportunity for HONORIS to try and bait the bite. Let's have a look at what the money looks like for LYNGBY Vikings. Oh, it's terrible. So with the buy round broken, if HONORIS can do it again, then they're back in this game.
Absolutely. A nice clean round in the last as well from HONORIS, keeping 4 players alive. So very little reinvestment needed. They're able to retain that AWP too, which had they not have done so, they actually wouldn't have been able to afford an AWP into this round. So quite an important save there. Oh my goodness, stop. Ripping the head clean off of Twinks there. I heard that bullet whiz past my ear. Look at that. Nice opening pick. Damage onto Rouse as well. Loads of control gained by Prism. He's in the apartments all on his lonesome, but he can hear all of these sound cues. He knows exactly where Cabby is, and he can relay that information. Look at this, though. The B site's actually been completely given up. The deep banana smoke goes down to give the illusion that maybe they're holding up close, maybe by tree or something. When in fact, the LYNGBY Vikings have gone for a full A stack, and if HONORIS walk into this, this could be their downfall.
Good trades. And a slight advantage for the Poles retained and maintained as we get into the final 40 seconds. The smokes are perfect and flawless onto the B bomb site, and Rouse is going to be the first man under challenge, and perhaps under fire with those nades pouring on through. Bird from Sky, it's a even trade through the smokes as the blind shot comes through one more time. Bird from Sky, he's going to pull the trigger on this B bomb site. He's regained control, and Neo with the AWP has to switch back to the Glock, and he's unable to get the job done. Taz a 1 versus 2. The captain has to pull it through as he knows where both of these players are. The double peak, that's going to secure the 12th for the Vikings, and a massive swing round on this CT side puts them back to winning ways.
That is absolutely fantastic there from the LYNGBY Vikings to pick up the pieces and convert that one. They had the man disadvantage. They gave HONORIS a free B bomb site, and despite it being completely empty, HONORIS took their time, didn't even get the plant down. It caused them a lot of problems in that final 2v2 situation. Regardless of the fact that the LYNGBY Vikings actually converted that round, with only Cabby staying alive, they have very little money to work with here. We're actually seeing MP9s and a FAMAS come out. There's a good chance that they don't convert this and HONORIS actually swing this right back the other way. And if they do so, the economy becomes completely broken for the Vikings. This gives HONORIS a lifeline to work with. They've found the opening pick in this round too, but they've taken quite a lot of damage for it. The bomb starts to rotate round to B. It's looking like that might be where they end up. No commitment as of yet though. Minute 20 on the clock. They don't need to rush into this. They've got plenty of time. And instead, they're just going to continue to use their utility. Try and draw a rotation, bait out a player. Taz has got to be careful here though in mid alone.
What are the options here for LYNGBY Vikings? The defense gets spreaded and thinned. Playing 2-2 here, and finally a little bit of aggression towards the bottom of Banana. A nice headshot puts Rouse onto just 10 points of health. Where's the trade from Taz? It's coming a little too late. Finally finds it. And I think the rotate is going to be a little delayed here, still keeping 2 players tucked inside the pit. And with HONORIS heading back to the A site, this, I think, is the only way that the Danes are going to be able to take this one over the top. This could be a key mistake. The third man wrapping on in, that's Twinks' AWP. However, I don't think they're heading towards Arch here. And where is the utility for Team HONORIS? They've got 1 nade to get the job done. This isn't going to hold the AWP out of the scenario at all, and this could all fall apart incredibly quickly. They've not spotted out any of these CTs. LYNGBY Vikings, they've read it perfectly. Where is this bomb going? It goes down there on the frags. HONORIS somehow pulled together a masterclass to take their 10th.
HONORIS massively rely on Prism there to convert those frags, and he steps up to the plate when needed. They push into that A bomb site with no information, with about 11 seconds remaining. So there was huge potential that there was just someone hiding behind the boxes back site, or had the graveyard player not been pre-fired, maybe the graveyard player can peek out and deny that plant as well. And then all of a sudden it's round over for HONORIS. Luckily though, they convert every single one of those kills. They play it perfectly. The LYNGBY Vikings, they don't have no problem with just stacking these sites and trying to read the situation. So far, they've had quite a lot of success with it. They didn't quite make it work that round, but we've seen them in these last couple where they throw that utility, throw that deep banana smoke, and then will actually invest all 5 players over towards A, leave that B bomb site completely open because they know that HONORIS aren't just going to charge in and take it. If only they could see what we could see. They've realised they have a whole lot more control than they currently think.
This would be an even Steven scenario if HONORIS are able to take it to 12, of course. Double AWPs is a bit of a difference maker here in round number 23. A bit awkward, of course. And the money has not built up at this point. I think the LYNGBY Vikings will know this. These have been fairly close rounds, to say the least. And obviously, you need to buy up that utility as well as an extra buffer on that T side. I do like these banana pushes from LYNGBY Vikings. I don't know if that double stack towards right side is actually going to get checked out. Of course, Stomp can't really see too much. Another swing would probably pay dividends right now for LYNGBY Vikings. And I don't know if they're going to check this corner with Taz obviously going down already. Right, oh, he does look towards the left side. Gives an open opportunity for the Deagle. Now to the AK-47. Molotov should be able to do the damage and does take Rouse away. But still a man advantage for LYNGBY Vikings. These rounds have not been clean for the Poles. And once again, they're under fire, under challenge. And round number 23, just to take the Deagles to task. CZ headshot might be able to finish this one off. No damage dealt onto Prism, but the clock's down to 20. He's got to hightail his way to B, and especially with the flank, not quite in full effect, but definitely coming down mid as of this point. I think that Twinks can actually just wait for this bomb to go down and away. Cabby can go for the swing on the B bomb site. Obviously, he's only got a Deagle in hand. He's missing all of the shots. There we go. Bomb does go down, gives HONORIS a bit of extra money. But the key factor, Jay, LYNGBY Vikings win the round, take us to 13.
That is not a round they should have been able to win, HONORIS. How on earth does that happen? Even in that scenario where it's a 3 versus 2, there's a saving grace of the fact that there's a minute left on the clock and none of the rifles are retrievable for the LYNGBY Vikings. They're all just down to the pistols. And then the AWP's got a perfect angle on this CZ on top banana. And the CZ just swings and one-taps him. Leaves it in an impossible situation for Prism to clutch up there. The LYNGBY Vikings now firmly 3 ahead. If they can convert this one, they pretty much take the game. They force HONORIS down to no money. They put themselves... well, they'd be able to put themselves onto 15, in fact. HONORIS, this is a must-win round for them. They can do so. They keep this in contention. They could probably take it 13 to 12 as long as they don't have another blunder like that against pistols. We still have a very competitive game on our hands. Prism getting up close and personal. I think he would have just heard a sound cue there, perhaps. Maybe not. Maybe Cabby actually dropped off that railing without making any sound.
70 seconds. Nade whiffs. Honoris heading to A once more. Realistically, haven't had a lot of success towards this side of the map. There's the opening from Prism, but there still is a crossfire in full effect. They still haven't burrowed out Macken at the back of pits. Here comes the reinforcements. There's LYNGBY Vikings radio in for more, and I think they've still spotted out Rouse on the central portion of this A site. So as the smokes dissipate, and the fifth man comes on through. That's Twinks to watch the cross. Only 30 seconds remaining. Peppering in the shots, but not accurately. Honoris have to be very careful about this. And with Twinks being the last man alive, Neo consistently cleaning out these rifles. Up to number 11. This is a very scrappy map, Jay.
It really is a scrappy map, and it feels like the Honoris, anytime their back's against the wall, they just swing and hope for the best. They'll go for some kind of fast A play like they did there, and it just kind of works out for them. I think that definitely could have gone the other way had LYNGBY Vikings just connected more of their shots. Honoris did quite well, I suppose, with their utility usage to isolate some of those fights, make sure that when they got that pit kill, there was no trade potential from the site player. Other than that, though, you're absolutely right in saying it's very, very scrappy. Honoris right now up against a force buy from the LYNGBY Vikings, and them actually going for this force means that they potentially allow Honoris to level things up. If Honoris can beat these pistols, they go on to 12. They're then against a full eco, and then we sit 13 to 13, and that becomes very, very close. If not, of course, then well, the LYNGBY Vikings should be able to tip this one over the edge. We saw them do it with the pistols a couple of rounds back. Let's see if they can do it again.
These rounds have been consistent nightmares for Honoris. You can see why LYNGBY Vikings want to throw in these initial investments, but at some point it's got to fail. And it might be right now, considering Cabby's already gone, the smokes come over the top onto A, and there is null and void defense. Macken, he's doing it again, boys. There's the initial headshot. I think the A site, it's totally open, so this should be secured by Honoris. And when do LYNGBY Vikings decide to save here? I think the call might have come through. They've still got a double deagle set up right now. But with the lion's share of the investment going down the toilet, this is going to be 13 to 12. And Honoris, they close the scoreline once more. There's one AK for their troubles. Don't think there'll be much more aggression in this one.
Whilst it's certainly not a lot to work with, if they can keep these weapons, which is looking like they will be able to, Honoris don't want to hunt here. They haven't really got the money to afford it and actually justify it. It does mean that the LYNGBY Vikings have a chance in the next round. I wouldn't say it's a massive chance, but they could definitely put some Kevlar behind that AK, get aggressive with that MP9, and maybe convert a round that would have otherwise just been a full eco. I actually don't think they've got the money to put any Kevlar behind that AK. Maybe he just drops it to Rouse and takes the MP9 himself. Instead, gives it to Cabby. Cabby's going to buy some Kevlar. Fair enough. He's been an incredible player this game. Dropped off a little bit in this second half, but he still sits 19 to 14. And he was putting up some incredible plays in that first half.
This is where things get a little too close for comfort, especially with Rouse heading down Banana, getting taken down early, just to a flurry of utility. Honoris have been consistently better at doing all this util damage on both sides of the map. We saw it play a small part in their CT side, but a much bigger factor on their terrorist half. Neo does eat up a little bit of damage through that smoke. I would say that this is a bit of an overinvestment from the Danes. You see Rouse, he's on $1,000. Cabby, not much more than that. But from Sky as well, similar scenario. I don't know what that gives them in the next. Maybe, is the max loss bonus in effect? I don't think it is. I think they've got about 2,400 to rely on at the next. It's just not enough. They've just not got enough money.
You're absolutely right. It's something I was about to touch upon had you not have mentioned it. So many of these players are down
these
low.
have been back and forth rounds. So HONORIS wins, loses, wins, loses, wins, wins. So this is only going to be $2,400.
Exactly. They're really not going to have a whole lot to work with. They need to convert this round. There certainly won't be an AWP available, but Cabby
no.
again. They give him the hero AK and he delivers time after time. Now Stomp's about to walk into a 3-man crossfire. There's no way he breaks this as he falls, and somehow LYNGBY Vikings convert the impossible. It's all off the back of a hero play from Cabby as he now leads the charge. The top fragger on the server puts his team onto 14. They're so lucky they won that round. If that goes HONORIS' way, which realistically it should have, they're in a very, very difficult position right now. Instead, they're on the front foot. They have an opportunity to put themselves onto match point if they can convert this one.
So that's the 4th force buy that LYNGBY Vikings have won this half. Right now, they've got more force buy victories than they do victories with rifles here. I don't know what happened to HONORIS. This would be, if they lose it, the 10th series in a row that they lose, and we might be going to a 3rd and final map to apply even further pressure once again. I don't know what you have to do to lose 10 series in a row. Maybe you have to be cursed by a witch doctor with a big cauldron and voodoo dolls. I've no idea what's going on with this HONORIS squad, but they've had opportunities, realistically, to close this map out. And we're likely going to see LYNGBY Vikings take a 3-round lead before we get into this last couple of rounds of the half. 15-12 looks like a very open possibility here. They've still got to push it over the line, and the B stack is in fairly full effect. They've not got tons of information, but HONORIS, they're walking into this nonetheless. There goes the flower pot boost. This has to be checked, otherwise it's round over in number 15. Map points galore for LYNGBY Vikings. Let's see if Ryko is going to check this upper angle. Good flash. Yorp shot fires through, but no check here. No smoke as well. Complete blind shot. This Twinks, he's going to seal the deal for the CT side. Stomp, I just don't see how he's able to do this. I can't imagine for a second that he has a single chance. And there's the 15th.
That was so horribly disjointed at the end there. The smoke not going up and just running in dry. Not only not even checking the flower pot position, but just completely neglecting CT as a whole. Forces HONORIS just down to this pistol round when their opponents are on match point. I don't see them doing this. Exactly as you say. They're keeping these series close. Yeah, they're keeping these maps very close as well. But they just crumble under pressure as soon as they get to that 12-12 mark and there's potential for them to either take it all or let it slip away. They lose against these force buys. Right now, they're going to have to give the LYNGBY Vikings a taste of their own medicine just to stay alive in this map. Otherwise, we will be heading over towards Vertigo, which I think HONORIS will be fairly comfortable going on to, but they'll be worried because Vertigo is actually the LYNGBY Vikings' best map. So, this is going to be a difficult one. Let's see how this plays out. Not too well by the looks of things.
Might be curtains at this point. The pole's getting absolutely slammed outside of this A bomb site. And Stomp, I think he's going to get naded to oblivion here. Down to 30 HP, a 1 versus 4. This is certainly curtains. Map over here for HONORIS. I think we're going to a 3rd here. Vertigo, obviously on the cards, and it's about to get secured. There's Twinks to finish it off. And HONORIS, just a massively disappointing result right there. They had so many opportunities to close it, Jay. 4 anti-ecos lost in that map. I think that must be one of the most, just the most in Malta Vibes history. And there's a lot of history to work with considering we're in week 8. I don't know what HONORIS have to do to win this series. I think they're going to be kicking themselves at this point. I think they'll be thinking that should have been a 2-0. And what does that do to your mentality as you go through to a 3rd and final map in this one? I don't think it can do good things.
Absolutely. There were so many opportunities where you see these rounds, and as casters, I think we sometimes jump the gun a little bit where you say, right, okay, yeah, the Lyngby Vikings, they're just on pistols. There's a full investment from HONORIS. They'll just steamroll that one, yeah, and you just expect it. And to be fair, I'd say probably 70, 80%, probably 80% of the time, that is the case. They just absolutely overrun it. But this time round, that's just not the case. They just cannot do it. And they somehow lose to these pistols over and over again. They crumble under this pressure. This comparison coming in now, well, 40 frags for Neo across 2 maps is very good. However, he did have 25 at the end of Dust 2, so that's only actually 15 coming in for Inferno, which is nothing special. Cabby stepping up on that second map, incredible play from him. He actually turned so many rounds in the Lyngby Vikings' favor. We saw him on a hero AK 2 rounds where he just had pistols on his side to support him, and he ended up getting 2-3 kills, swaying it in his side's favor. Fantastic stuff from him. If he steps up on Vertigo, HONORIS are in for some trouble.
Absolutely. Disappointment City for HONORIS here in map number 2. Could have very easily been their first best-of-3 win in the last 10 matches played. And realistically, we're going on to Vertigo next. It should be home territory. Let's see how confident they look at about 10 minutes when we get into this one. Hello and welcome back, everybody. You're still watching the Eden Arena Malta Vibes. We're here in week 8 for this stunning elimination match. HONORIS taking center stage. Not such a good performance in that previous map, I've got to say. Losing 4 anti-eco rounds against the LYNGBY Vikings. Definitely could have closed this one out 2-0. I think that speaks to a slightly larger issue. Don't you think, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. They've just been unable to close out these series for, well, I don't even know now. The last 9 in a row. If they can't close this one out and they actually lose it on Vertigo, then that's 10 in a row that they've lost, which is just crazy. I haven't actually seen a team do something like that in a very long time. Now, you have got to remember that some of those matches are against some pretty high caliber teams, especially in the more recent weeks of Malta Vibes and 9 to 5 that they've been competing in. They've been put in some pretty hard groups, and obviously they've had matches against some of those higher teams that have been competing in these tournaments. But at the same time, it's still just rough. And it's very clear from what we've seen here, from what we saw in that best of 1 against Hellraisers, that they absolutely have the potential. It's not like they just suck and they're turning up to these matches and they're just being destroyed. They take it very, very close, and then they just choke at the end. They just seem to be unable to close it out. They lose that momentum. They make horrible mistakes against like anti-eco rounds and things like that. And they just let it fall apart. That's exactly what we saw on Inferno. That was their map for the taking, and they let it slip away. They have to make sure they don't do the same on Vertigo, otherwise the curse is going to continue. This is a very good opportunity for them to break it. But if they don't, I don't know what the future holds for HONORIS, to be honest.
Absolutely. I think when I look at the number of anti-eco rounds that you're actually taking and losing in a series, if you lose 1, I can excuse that. Maybe even 2. I start to frown. Say, right, why did you lose 2 rounds against Eagles in this specific matchup, boys? When it gets to 3, I start to get scared for your mentality when the going gets close. But they lost 4 in that previous map, 4 in 1 half even. When you're looking at 4 anti-ecos that you're unable to take through in 1 half, it shows a massive problem with not just your mentality, but your fundamentals as well. It shows that you're obviously making some pretty key mistakes. They're usually fairly simple rounds to take over the top, in all fairness. We see this matchup between Neo and Cabby being quite close, but realistically, Neo did go missing at the end of Inferno there, especially in the second half where he amassed very, very few kills. And that does speak to a big problem on this HONORIS side where realistically you hope for them to win these consistent rounds. You need to, especially on the T side, it's very easy to win them. You need to play as a tight entry pack. You need to play safety in numbers. You need to be fishing for that initial information towards both bomb sites to make sure you're not walking into a stack. Sometimes you might be caught completely off guard, but 4 in a row in terms of those eco round victories for the LYNGBY Vikings, like absolute props to them for actually taking that one over the top. Remember, all of the action that you're watching here for Malta Vibes is brought to you by Gaming Malta. It's a home of gaming excellence. I don't know if we saw excellence from HONORIS in that previous map, but I'm hoping to see something better here on Vertigo. It's the 3rd and final map of this series, and Jay, we've got to get rid of one of these teams already.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a shame when you come into a group, especially when we get later on in the week and there's those more stacked groups. It'd be a shame to see some of those teams fall. If HONORIS can't convert this series, I think that actually they deserve to be knocked out of this group. They've really not been on form. They need to just go and take a break, take the next few days off, and come into next week, if they do come into next week, a little bit refreshed and actually iron out some of the problems that they're having, because there are clear problems. Yeah, it's a really rough one. It's a really, really rough one. We talked about Cabby before the break. He was absolutely on fire on that Inferno game. We didn't see a whole lot of him on Dust 2. When we look at that player comparison, he actually has 38 kills across 2 maps, which isn't anything special. Yeah, it's 19 kills a map, especially in these games where it's sort of gone quite the distance, gone to those sort of later 20, 25, 26 rounds. It's nothing too special, but the majority of those kills came in on Inferno. So many of them were heavy impact frags as well. It wasn't just kills here and there against the ecos. It was him stepping up with a hero AK on an anti-eco round, pulling it off, making things work for his team. HONORIS need to get the work done here on Vertigo. I think taking the knife round would be a nice start. It doesn't really matter all too much. Of course, in these series, we actually see a knife round on every single map to pick the sides, which is interesting. Definitely leads to, well, certain teams being on certain sides they favor on their own map picks.
So we do see LYNGBY Vikings win that knife round. They're going to decide to start on this CT side, it seems. So an opportunity to defend first. I don't think this is going to be a big disadvantage for HONORIS. Supposedly they're still favourites in this series. I realistically don't know who would be putting their money on HONORIS here. I feel like that's a very scary bet. If you're brave enough to make it yourself, you can go over to loot.bet and before we get started, and well, you get pretty good odds there. I feel if you're betting on LYNGBY Vikings on a map like this, I think the one scare factor is HONORIS have taken a map thus far against these guys, and here on Vertigo, it's, I would say, somewhat of a home map. Not that you could call any map for HONORIS a home map, considering I don't think they've got over 40% win rate on any turf here out of the 7. Maybe it is time to go back to the drawing board for the polls, decide what has been going wrong, maybe even make a roster move or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And here, Vertigo is going to be really important for them. They don't want another last place here in the group stage. They've had some really shaky results as of late. We talked about this would be their 10th consecutive series loss if they're unable to take it against the LYNGBY Vikings. And I can't remember, I'm sure it's appeared some of the time in CS history, but I can't think of a time where this has been the case.
Well, especially for some of these players that were on the center stage not so long ago. They have to get the job done here on Vertigo, otherwise not only will they be the first team out of the group stage, but it'll actually be in one of the weaker groups as well. Macken somehow still alive here. How on earth has he stayed alive and actually got away with 2 frags there? HONORIS somehow still managed to come out on top as they cut out the flank as well. Cabby now in a 1 versus 3, can't get anything done. But that was so bizarre from Macken, dancing around that box, and HONORIS just seemed confused.
Staying alive, BG's style there. Still not enough to take the round in the CT's favour. This will allow HONORIS to get those rifles out first. It's a fairly wholesome buy for the T's. It's met with a force by the LYNGBY Vikings. There's a scout, 4 lots of upgraded pistols, and a fair bit of utility actually carried through into this second round of the half. Let's see what the MAC-10s can get done. There's a first.
Stomp taking a fair amount of damage early on. Potential for him to get taken down, especially considering he's against Deagles and a scout here. A single bullet from any weapon in play right now could take him out. HONORIS, though, actually opting over towards this B site. No one's there for now, but the rotations are coming through, especially with that utility being thrown. It really confirms where they're headed. Minute 10 on the clock, and they're stacked up over towards these stairs. Third rotation actually comes through now. I don't think HONORIS commit to this. They surely have to fall back. They've made so much noise. They either wait this out a little bit further and then re-aggress later on, or they fall back. Instead, they're actually just charging straight into this stack. Taz falls early. Now they fall back. I'm not really sure what their plan is here.
They do seem to be a little out of ideas as we get to the 40-second mark. Maybe sending stuff towards the A bomb site once again with Prism leading the charge. Now giving away all of the information, gunning up this ramp area. And this is going to allow, you see the rotates come through incredibly early for LYNGBY Vikings. They can just try and deny this bomb from going down here with the smokes placed and Neo finding another. There is an opportunity for the C4 to go away. The scout also gets shot through as Macken needs to find more than just the one, and it's not going to happen here. Neo doing everything. The majority of kills through that smoke right there puts HONORIS onto their second. This should be a freebie, though, considering LYNGBY Vikings. It'll only be SPSs here and there. I feel like very little thrown into the investment here for the third. Just a couple of flashbangs for Bird from Sky.
was a very nice round indeed for Neo, but one that became very, very shaky. I don't really understand what their plan was. Taz just gave away that early man advantage straight away. Oh, a lot of damage being dealt as well. I think, yeah, they recover nicely here, HONORIS. Stomp actually surviving on 1 HP. Had he have fallen, that would have been a very good eco for the LYNGBY Vikings, but just unfortunately can't finish off those low HP players. Means they only take away 1 rifle, and Raiko's going to have no issue just reinvesting here. Finally, the full buy round for the LYNGBY Vikings, and because they've actually saved, like obviously in that last round they just went for the full eco, it means they've got plenty of money behind them. They can go for that double AWP setup, and I think on a map like Vertigo, it's pretty viable. You can have one either in mid or over towards B, and then one playing just about anywhere on A. Bird from Sky, missing a really key shot. If he can hit that, then he's allowed to fall 1 for 1, but not converting anything means that the man advantage goes in the favor of HONORIS once again.
Swiftly traded back. 4 versus 4 still spreads the defense to at least a 2-2 setup. Do see Cabby primarily looking towards this B-bomb site, with Raul's just fishing for a bit of information elsewhere. LYNGBY Vikings seem to be decently set up for this one, but it will all come down to the headshots with the smokes already placed. And HONORIS temporarily locked out of this B-bomb site. They're going to go straight on through here. Raul's is the last line of defense, and the backtrack angle's just not good enough. HONORIS should be able to salvage a 4th, and that was actually a pretty decent round there. You saw them take the aggression up towards the ramp area, find their first frag, backtrack, good rotation and retaliation, as the LYNGBY Vikings get caught on the back foot once more. Twinks just with an AWP in hand, expecting Taz to not predict the angle. Correct on that assumption. He's going to be able to backtrack with the sniper. How long here, Jay? They are actually hunting over towards this ramp area. Let's see how aggressive HONORIS decide to get.
I think Twink survives here.
Yeah, me too.
Either way, he finds himself this pick and he's got loads of cover. If he finds this come on prison, but surely he will. No, he whiffs the shot. Oh my. That's a rough one. Nothing now.
Can you
for
feel
the
the
LYNGBY
pain
Vikings
in
to
the
work
air,
with.
Jay? Can you feel the pain? I can taste it. I can taste it in the sky.
And somehow travelled all the way from Denmark. The toxicity. Twinks has got to be so annoyed right now. That's such an awkward one to lose. They now are actually somewhat investing into this 5th round as well. Having an AWP here would have been really good to back up these SMGs. Oh my goodness, look at this aggression. He's actually jumped straight across. He has been spotted, so Taz is going to know about it. That could have been very dangerous though, and Taz has got to be wary of this ladder area from here on out.
Slow stance. Here comes the AWP with shot from Stomp. And again, the pistol's doing a lot of damage. Deja vu to Inferno. At the 60-second mark, puts together a 4 versus 2. And are they going to check this corner that Cabby is lurking within? They absolutely do. That's the first, as Taz decides to hightail his way onto this A-bomb site. But with rifles salvaged, there go the smokes up top of the action. And Twinks, he's got a perfect angle here. They're being wrapped inside. He's got the backtrack angle. And Taz now has to do everything. Bomb on his back. He has no idea where Macken's playing from. Maybe needs to be just the one frag and bailing out, but not quick enough. There's the flank. And I feel like we need a little eco round counter on the corner of the screen, because that's the 5th since I've been counting for LYNGBY Vikings. I'm sure that there must have been. There might have been 1 or so on Inferno, on Dust 2. They only did take 6 rounds, so I'm sure it would be pretty easy to go and decipher. Maybe let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say this is just 5 at this point.
Either way, this series is playing out to just be so bizarre. There's only two things remaining consistent, and that's the LYNGBY Vikings somehow converting these anti-ecos over and over again, and actually the AWPers on both sides whiffing quite key shots. We've seen it on every single map so far, where actually Twinks and Stomp have picked up this AWP and whiffed really, really important shots, and actually quite routine shots that end up losing the round, or at least losing that early man advantage. Right now, Maken's position's pretty strong, and the issue is that that smoke's obviously going to give it away. HONORIS are going to know exactly where he is, and as it dissipates, he has to fall right back. Can't be isolated like that. There'd be no trade potential if he fell. In the meantime, HONORIS are heading over towards ramp. Issue is minutes ticked away on the clock. They've not really gained any control that isn't rightfully theirs at the start of the round anyway. No damage dealt either.
You know what they say, Jay? It's a very famous quote. We should have probably picked it up at the start of this series. There are three things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and HONORIS losing anti-ecos. "20 seconds left." They just ecoing since the start. The bomb seems miles away, and they have actually forced 4 players off of this one, but are they really going to get the bomb down on B in the last possible second? They are. Was this really the tactic? Wild CS from HONORIS. There's no opportunity to stop that C4 going down. But what about the retake? No chance to get into after plants. And sensational amounts of damage has been done. Now the prong from mid is only going to find one. In Stomp Neo, they only have 14 points of health between the two of them. Yes, it's Stomp with the AWP, but he's got to do everything now in the 1v2 scenario. And there's the first. It's an easy shot to nail, but he is locked into this corner. Real should guarantee this pick, and he absolutely does. That's 2 from the LYNGBY Vikings. And that's just the issue with planting in the last possible second there. It means you don't get into after plants. You can't hold this bomb down in a way. And well, 4-2 the results. LYNGBY Vikings, they're going to have to pause a second as HONORIS want to break the pace. Probably a good decision.
Some of these rounds are making very, very little sense. I really don't get this at all. The MP9's prevailing over and over again. HONORIS just seem to choke in those late round scenarios. But they need to convert those kills. The LYNGBY Vikings now, I think this will probably be their first freebie of the game. HONORIS have kept it in close contention so far, and they've had plenty of money to work with as well. This is the first time we're really going to see them on an eco. A little bit of utility brought up. That's going to be about it. I like this. They're actually saving quite a lot of money to make sure that they've got a full buy. No, okay, they buy a little bit right at the end of the round. Either way, Taz and Prison stay above that 3k mark, which means they'll actually have a really solid buy going into the next. Against the double AWPs, though. I can't imagine these pistols getting a whole lot of work done.
Especially with that nade just clattering them right at the start. Good conversion with the M4. As Rouse almost finds everybody all picked. An opportunity for further damage. If the headshot hadn't come through, the nade certainly would have. 4-3. LYNGBY Vikings, they do bring back a couple of rounds. Remember, go and check out our sponsors over at Hellcase. You can use code MALTAV15 for that 15% refill bonus. Go and do it. Do it, do it, do it. Only if you're over 18. You've got to gamble responsibly, all of that good stuff. Make sure you listen to it. It's good advice. It's great advice, actually.
Wow. 25 seconds expended on the clock already. Full buy in for HONORIS, but from Sky opens it up with a nice 2k. It is traded evenly. A 3 versus 3 now as HONORIS have finally gained that mid control. I spoke about this yesterday though. The real issue is when you have an early engagement like this where it's traded evenly, especially on a map like Vertigo with such long rotations. It leads to massive, massive holes in your defenses. Even though it's even, and if you play the trading game, then you've definitely got opportunity. Right now, they're just walking into the blender. I really don't understand what they're doing here. They know they've got the bomb down, and they keep peeking to try and contest this AWP, but as they just walk around the corner, Stomp doesn't even have to move. You can literally just sit there, click mouse 1 every now and again. Probably not even paying too much attention. He's got his feet up, and that's his detriment. Twix finds 1 back, but Neo's going to trade it. HONORIS put their 5th on the board. I'm not really sure what we saw from the LYNGBY Vikings there. That seemed very weird. 4 players peeking into mid, 1 by 1. Of course, Stomp's just going to, well, stomp you.
That is his name and reputation. 5-3. We always do expect HONORIS to have a pretty good T side, especially on a map like Vertigo, a map that they're incredibly comfortable on. I'm actually surprised that they're allowed to get it out as the 3rd and final map here. I think in terms when you're looking at the whole 7, the whole span where you can force your opponents, it's a little bit scrappy, a bit of a coin flip. Maybe LYNGBY Vikings were expecting to take this in 2, but with Dust 2 being such a one-sided affair, outside of the question incredibly early. Molotovs and smokes leave Ryko waiting for the bomb to go down on the B bomb site. And finally, his work will pay off and pan out. A very tricky retake if LYNGBY Vikings want to close it in. With Prism low HP, this is doable at least. But I think this AK-47 up close and personal should be able to hold them at an arm's length. Without a defuse kit as well. What are LYNGBY Vikings realistically looking to do here? It might just be damage, and well, there's the first. A good headshot piled on in, and the smoke kill comes in 1 more time. I don't think this is possible, but because the fuse already happening, I think this is going to be the last second or so. Bird from Sky, he's going to cling on to that defuse. Oh, and he gets it! That's unbelievable.
1 HP on him as well. If he falls there, that's it. That no one else can get on that defuse and get it done in time. That is absolutely mental for the LYNGBY Vikings to take that one. That's going to be a timeout called. They are very, very happy with that. That is crazy. I really, really wasn't expecting that whatsoever.
I think my previous theory is coming back. I think that a witch doctor cast a spell, put a curse on this HONORIS team. Something happened.
Maybe that's what it is. One of those Polish witch doctors.
It's got to be a witch doctor.
What did they do, though? What did they do to deserve a curse?
I don't even want to know. I'm not even going to theory craft. It's like the Doctor Disrespect drama. I don't even want to theory craft it.
Well, an opportunity now for the LYNGBY Vikings to level things out. HONORIS have gone for a full buy, but it's nothing like what we've seen in the previous rounds. Limited utility, only a Tech 9 on Neo, Galil on Prism. These AKs really need to get the work done. Early aggression, they will be able to take mid control. Or at least part of mid control. Bird from Sky still playing it deep. Just going to keep him at bay with that flashbang. Give him a little bit more leg room to work with. It's actually going to force HONORIS right back as well. That's quite smart. Regains the control for his side. Something just to touch upon is HONORIS actually on this T side. You've been talking about how this is their stronger side pretty much on any map. We certainly saw it against Hellraisers earlier on. And the fact that the LYNGBY Vikings won the knife round and went on to the CT side straight away is a bit of a blessing in disguise for HONORIS, because they get to start off on their stronger side and actually build up some confidence there. Had they started on the CT side, where we saw them go 11-4 down against Hellraisers, maybe they wouldn't look so promising in this map. For now, though, they retain the lead. They look to extend it further.
I've worked it out, Jay. The Witch Doctor, it all goes back to DreamHack Las Vegas 2017. The Witch Doctor took Taz's blood to punish him for taking the free Mercedes. And she's been putting curses on him ever since.
That makes sense. That makes
It's
sense.
got
It
to be
all
a
went
witch doctor.
downhill.
I'm not giving up on the theory now.
It all went
Can't think of
downhill after
any
that
other
Las Vegas
reason.
2017 event as well, didn't it? That
Yeah,
you have
that's
to be
it.
right there. Yeah.
That's it. It's guaranteed. You heard it here first, boys. You get that sort of news on ESPN. Nevertheless, the captain does step up for 2. 6 rounds to 4 for Honoris. And I need 10 more to stop this 10-game losing streak in its tracks.
Absolutely. You're talking about ESPN. You know what you do get on ESPN? You get professional cornhole, which is beanbag toss. Professional beanbag
I don't
toss.
know anything about
And
this.
it's commentated. That's my next career path. That's what I'm
it?
doing. If CS casting doesn't take me to the big leagues, I'm gonna go cast professional beanbag toss.
I
That's
wonder
my
what
next
the
venture.
odds I can get on you casting cornbag tossing in like 2024 or something.
I'll be there, don't you worry.
Did you say
ESPN2.
cornbag?
Cornhole, that's what they call it.
Cornhole.
Yep, give it a Google afterwards. It's a hell of a sport. They put a lot of money down on it as well.
What is a cornhole? I've just got to ask. This is only an eco. What is a cornhole?
It's like a little wooden board with a hole in it, and you throw the beanbag into it.
I think you've got too much time on your hands.
No, man,
I
it's
think you should
wicked.
get a job.
This is my job, Squid. This is my job. I talk about Counter-Strike. Soon to be talking about beanbag toss.
I mean, we do have weird little things out in Gloucestershire, which is the county that I come from. We have the annual cheese rolling contest, where you roll a cheese down a hill. Oh, no, you don't. Yeah, you roll a cheese down a hill, and then everybody runs down like the steepest hill in Gloucestershire after this cheese. And there are probably injury statistics for this. It's an extreme sport.
Is it a $50,000 cheese though? Because they're the
I
sort
don't
of
know. I
prize
think you
pools
just
that are
win
put
the
up.
cheese. I think you just win the. I don't know. You wouldn't catch me dead rolling down a hill after some cheese. I don't even eat cheese.
Exactly. On beanbag toss, 50k prize pools. That's where I want to be. Right now,
That
this
got
is not where
dangerous
you
for a
want to be.
second.
It did.
The bomb down, all out in the open with an AK-47 up for grabs, and all 5 of the CTs actually holding it through. Actually lucky to have Taz in that scenario. He's killing it right now, 17-6.
Taz seems to shine on Vertigo. We actually saw him putting up the numbers as well in that Hellraisers game, especially on this T side. I was expecting to see him show up on Dust 2 and actually show up on Inferno as well after his Vertigo performance, but he kind of went to sleep and Neo seemed to pick it up on those other maps. Now he's back in action. I think part of Honoris' success actually on Vertigo is purely down to the fact that Taz just seems to be so comfortable with it and he's able to take those early engagements, take that man advantage so much of the time.
What I'm hoping is, now that I've mentioned the Witch Doctor theory, just like the silence in Doctor Who, now that I've told everybody about it, the Witch Doctor now has to just go back to what she does best, and making little soups and stuff like that. She can't carry on cursing Taz for the rest of his days. So I think predictions on the table right now, Virtus Pro to win the next major. They're going to regain this Honoris lineup. They're going to put together back the original 5, win the major, #1 team for at least another 6 months. Because I've broken the curse. I've talked about it on air. Everybody's heard it.
Absolutely. Just to spite the Witch Doctor, that will be their theme song as well. You know the ooh, ee, ooh, ting, tang Witch Doctor song? That one. That's going to be their theme song as they walk out onto the major stage. Curse is broken. Maybe not.
Think about the intense theory. Taz couldn't come out and say he's been cursed because everybody would think he's crazy. He needs somebody else. He needs a mouthpiece. I am the mouthpiece of the Polish scene, Jay.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm the saviour. Oh.
Very tense 1v1. Oh, no.
Oh, the wallbang.
Ooh.
That was very close. Maybe a little too close for comfort there. Especially with the wallbang coming through. That must have been a no-scope as well from Stomp. I'm pretty sure you can't see all too much through those sandbags. But Stomp, nevertheless, doesn't stay alive for long enough. And he does go down along with that round. That's a fifth for LYNGBY Vikings. Realistically, Jay, how many do you think that the Vikings actually need on this CT side? Do you think that they've taken enough rounds yet?
I don't think they've taken enough, but if HONORIS play anything like they did on their CT half against Hellraisers, which obviously Hellraisers are a slightly different caliber to the LYNGBY Vikings, I think they are somewhat significantly better side. But either way, HONORIS just looked really weak on their CT side. So I think if the LYNGBY Vikings can take 6, maybe 7, then they should be able to take it over the edge in the second half. The real issue is if they allow HONORIS to take this next round, they've got limited buy in this one, they'll have a limited buy in the next. If it goes 10-5 to HONORIS, I really fancy their chances. Right now, they seem to be keeping them at bay. Taz is allowed 1 back, brings it into a 2-on-2 as Stomp finds himself another. Cabby's position right now is potentially very powerful if Stomp doesn't expect it, but he whiffs the shot. And this should be a 9th down for HONORIS.
Should is the key word, especially with all of that damage. There comes the nade. Stomp down to 3 HP. What is going on right now? There's the Molotov to cut away his positions, and with the flashbang over the top, Stomp might just need to hightail his way to A. Instead, he hits the shot. That's another on the board. The bomb going down is a bit of an insurance policy, but absolutely nothing was guaranteed there. The premium's at the highest, considering LYNGBY Vikings could have taken a 6. That's where the rounds start to get acceptable for the CTs. You see the buy is far from ideal in round number 15. And considering HONORIS, now they have 4 AKs, the AWP in hand once again. This is a wholesome buy to end things off, maybe with double digits.
Absolutely, HONORIS giving the LYNGBY Vikings a little bit of a taste of their own medicine. This time Stomp converting that 1 versus 1. It's so unfortunate that that nade just didn't come through. And the read not working out for the Vikings either. They sacked 3 players over towards middle, and that means they completely give up this B bomb site. Ryko is just allowed to have a field day here, taking out these players on pistols who are diving through this smoke, desperately trying to get this trade. This should just be another sealed deal for HONORIS. Ryko gets punished for being too aggressive. Either way, though, they're able to get these post plants. They've got the bomb site on lockdown. Only 1 rifle retrieved. The LYNGBY Vikings haven't got a whole lot of equity in this round. I don't think they've got a lot of chance of converting this one.
There goes the flashbang, and this should be a sealed deal for the Poles. Maybe a 10th, and well, that gets all but confirmed. As Rouse does actually have a defuse kit here, but he's running out of time, running out of HP, and now running out of rounds. 10-5, HONORIS, massively acceptable T side. Now they have to close it out on the CT half. If they don't take the pistol, this round, well, this map, firmly back in contention. I think we'll have a close one. Overtime definitely on the cards. And realistically, how replicatable is this performance? You look at the scoreboard. Taz taking 20. It's a rare day when you see the captain firing on all cylinders. Look at the odds starting to swing now. HONORIS supposedly firm favorites in this 3rd and final map. I don't think it's that one-sided, personally. I think that the LYNGBY Vikings do have a decent shot, but this pistol round is an absolute must-have.
It really is. If the LYNGBY Vikings can convert this pistol round, I think they've definitely got a chance to pull this one back, especially with the CT economy. Means that the LYNGBY Vikings can pull back a couple of rounds, and HONORIS going to have difficulty buying. That's a good grenade. Deals tons of damage. That's a fantastic grenade.
That's the best grenade we've seen all series. And now HONORIS need to make a tough, tricky retake happen. They are finding the kills. It's Cabby, Maxon.
Yeah, left with a very tall order in that situation. Mac 10 to all round now for the LYNGBY Vikings. This is quite an interesting one. Not something that I see all too often. They have actually got one AK, and that's on Rouse. Everybody else, though, looking to rack up some cash, but at the same time, it can be very dangerous. A full investment's come through for HONORIS. Of course, they're just down to the pistols, but they've got an opportunity here to make this one work. These Mac 10s aren't very good at range. The Deagles and the FAMAS might be able to punish them for it. Taz, oh my goodness, how on earth does he convert that one? Gives the man advantage to HONORIS right now. This is absolutely mental. Prism in this scenario. Creeping around with this Deagle, might be able to find himself one. If he's able to do that, he'll be able to convert this round potentially. He's even found two, make that three. Prism single-handedly swings this in the favor of HONORIS, and Ryko comes right back through. We've talked about the fact that when you win that pistol round, and then you lose the second, it can have such a detrimental effect on your economy. And well, with HONORIS now on round number 11, let's take another look at this from Prism. Bang, one kill, spams on the second. Somehow Cabby, I don't know what's happened there. Has he like DC'd? Has he just had no information relayed to him? He just doesn't even react to the fact that there's that Deagle coming in from behind from Prism. He's still just staring at the wall. Gives Prism far more than he should have been allowed in that scenario. What a fantastic pull through for HONORIS. The LYNGBY Vikings right now, not in a good position whatsoever. They've actually fully invested into this round too, so if they cannot convert this one, HONORIS put themselves onto 12. The LYNGBY Vikings will be on a full eco, and it will be 13-6 before we see the next buy round. Right now, HONORIS have got a decent kit of tools to work with. They're up against two Mac 10s, three Deagles. LYNGBY Vikings looking to give their opponents a taste of their own medicine. Very, very fast play coming through. Neo burning in the flames. He will be spotted out, but for now, not killed. Cabby does find one onto Ryko. In the meantime, Taz comes in, deals a whole load of damage. That initiates Neo. Somehow, they don't expect him to be in that smoke, despite hearing him take the tick of damage from the Molotov. And he's able to swing out and wreak havoc. Rouse now just with this Deagle against 3. Can't get anything done as Stomp takes him out. HONORIS put themselves onto 12. This is now going to be a full eco for the LYNGBY Vikings. They actually can't afford to invest anything into this round. If they take any pistols, any Kevlar on anyone other than Cabby here, they just won't have sufficient money going into the next. And instead, they're forcing into it. Oh no. We saw this from the Vikings on Dust 2. As soon as HONORIS got within sort of 4 or 5 rounds of closing it out, they just kept forcing into those final rounds, hoping they could convert one, and it just ended up being their detriment. Right now we're seeing much of the same. HONORIS just cleaning up these pistols. There's no contention whatsoever until Macken turns up to the party. And still, with Twinks on low HP, Rouse with no Kevlar, I don't see this happening at all. HONORIS should be allowed onto 13, and the LYNGBY Vikings will still have no money in the bank at that point. This is absolutely dire. I have no idea what they're doing here. There we go. 13 rounds on the board for HONORIS. 2 AKs retrieved as well. In fact, no, only 1 AK retrieved. The FAMAS on the other. Surely the Vikings go for an eco here.
Well, this is where things start to become incredibly dangerous. This isn't Inferno anymore, where HONORIS were consistently losing against these pistols. Right now, we see a half buy once again, and that puts the LYNGBY Vikings into an awful economic spot. This is a round that they must win, Jay. Otherwise, it might not just be 14, but 15. I haven't really worked out as of this point where their money would be if they lose this one. I think at least getting the bomb down is absolutely needed. And there is the first frag to add insult to injury. HONORIS ahead by a handful of rounds, and they might extend this to 1 away from match point here on Vertigo. There's Neo with another one. These Deagles getting absolutely crunched, crumbled, and 4 survive for HONORIS. That's going to give another opportunity for this money to build up. Look at how much money Stomp has, over 6k. I think Ryko's going to be the only lower player here. Neo, yep, it's $2,800. Ryko has to expend all of the bank, but everybody else is sitting pretty on a couple of $1,000 at least, with Stomp Prism, 15k between the two of them. This is a great scenario for HONORIS. Might propel them to victory, their first victory in the last 10 series.
I said it on Dust 2, Squid, the LYNGBY Vikings. As soon as HONORIS sort of get onto double digits, they seem to just continue to force up. It's what we've seen in the last 3 rounds. Every single round they've been pulling out the Deagles and Armor or the Tech 9s, the Mac 10s. Not been able to get the work done with them at all. It's allowed HONORIS to build up a huge bank and actually put themselves onto 14. And now the LYNGBY Vikings buy, despite the fact that they've not had a full buy in what seems like ages. It's not even a full buy. There's no AWP available. There was a Mac 10. There's a Galil on Cabby. And again, it's all fallen apart. The bomb's down in no man's land. The LYNGBY Vikings have got a man disadvantage, and they've got to try and retrieve it. That Molotov might actually flush out Taz. He's going to throw the flash and swing to try and find the kill. He's not going to be able to convert it. Prism picks up the pieces, and it comes into a one-on-one. 55 seconds on the clock. The bomb will be retrievable. But Macken has no idea where Stomp is right now.
He's in perhaps the most awkward situation of them all. 40 seconds remaining. And he is going to head back to the B bomb site, I think. Mid control firmly taken. Of course, Macken's not going towards that side of the map. He's stepping onto B, where Stomp needs to be ready on the cross. Not zooming in. He's going to have to take... Oh, the quick scope! What the hell was that? Stomp completely rips Macken out of the server and might send HONORIS into the decider match tomorrow. That is absolutely unreal. 9-round lead. HONORIS, have they broken the curse? Have I broken the curse, Jay?
I think you might have. There's nothing else that could have done it. Nothing to do with HONORIS' performance here. It's you breaking the Witch Doctor curse, allowing them into this one. I mean, Stomp, we've talked about him not being massively consistent throughout this series. That shot that he hit in the last is absolutely incredible. And to kick things off in this round as well, finding that opening pick, Mike just tied it over the edge. A lot of Molotov damage being dealt there. Rouse and Twink's on very low HP, so despite the fact they have the man advantage, HONORIS have still got a huge lifeline in this round, especially if Prism can convert this. He's actually quite unsure of where Bird from Sky is, and that's going to cost him his life. I think the LYNGBY Vikings should be able to convert this round now with the 2-man advantage. Either way, they're so far behind here. They need so many rounds consecutively. This is surely HONORIS' for the taking. Ooh, Neo.
This series has been madness in its entirety. Opportunities on Inferno. And now further chances. 9, in fact, to take it over the top. Neo, the man with the plan, has a 1 versus 3. A doable one on the cards, considering Bird from Sky, only 21 HP between them. 71 if you bring Twinks into the mix. He only needs a couple of bullets in to actually end this series. He's going to head up ramp. Needs to spot out Rouse first, but he's quicker to the angle. That's a 7th for the Vikings.
Well, that was a must-win round for the Vikings if they wanted to get back into this, so it's not a bad one for them to win, but of course they need 8 in a row here to bring this one back. HONORIS are in a really weird position right now because they have 3 players that can't afford to buy, and actually 2 with about 8k. So you could either allow Stomp and Prism to drop a couple of AKs here, and M4s here, or drop an M4 each here and actually buy up into this one. Or you just go for an eco, they drop a few pistols and they just have like a deagle round to work with. And then in the actual buy round, you can make sure that you get at least 1 AWP on Stomp, possibly even a double AWP setup if you wanted to put one on Neo as well. That might just be what HONORIS opt for here.
I don't think I would prefer the AWPs right now. I think they can actually afford 4 out of 5 rifles and maybe just put Neo on the deagle, put somebody else on a pistol. I think they can get out 4 M4s if they really want it. Let's say that HONORIS want to close this out early. I would actually prefer a full eco, allow LYNGBY Vikings on to 8 and go for the full buy in the next. They need to guarantee to win this series, and throwing away half buy and scrappy investment rounds is certainly not the way to do it. I like this from HONORIS.
absolute full eco. I'm actually quite surprised that Stomp and Prism didn't drop a couple of pistols over. They've got the cash to be able to do so. Either way, all 5 players stacking up now. The flash not going to affect Macken at all. He's in a fantastic angle. The Molotov's going to secure his retreat as well, and Rouse is going to pick up the pieces in the meantime. Yeah, there's really nothing Honoris can do here. That's an ambitious strat, and when you go for it, you might be able to get yourself 1 or 2 kills. It just doesn't work out for them at all. They get completely shut down. So yeah, the Vikings will be able to put their 8th on the board. I don't think it's competitive yet. I think that it all comes down to how the next buy round goes for Honoris. If they lose it, then maybe there's a chance for the LYNGBY Vikings to bring it back. For now, they're just mopping up eco rounds.
I think we all expected this to be a fairly simple one. Only 1 frag's worth of damage found. And a potential AK save for Taz. I think they are closing and clamping in on his position. Not that economical damage really matters anymore. Just this 1 bullet potential for the AK. I think he does get taken out here. Now spotted, has a couple of seconds to survive. Unable to do so. So no AK carried through. This will be a full wholesome investment from Honoris. Exactly what I wanted to see. Maybe even the double up setup here, Jay. We were talking about that one before. Stomp at least gets 1 out. I don't see the opportunity for that second sniper. So they'll throw in 3 M4A1Ss, an M4A4. Pretty full utility. A little bit of bonus bank on Neo Riker Taz. This is when they're hoping to take it over the top.
Well, we've seen plenty of map go the other way. I've never actually seen that wallbang before. Does that connect with something?
No.
No? It's just randomly firing at the wall. I did think that seemed like quite a solid wall that he was just randomly shooting at. No, he's still going for it. This is a bit.
He is lining it up. I wonder where that goes. I think we need to get Hawker on the case.
Somebody call him. Get him in here. Get him in the server to analyze where that bullet actually lands. That seems like such a thick wall. I actually have no idea where that would connect to.
Elevators are usually pretty thick. That's just my expert opinion.
I'm not even sure if he was. I thought he was shooting at the wall next to the elevator, which is just a solid concrete wall.
I know. I was just making a joke, M&J. You gotta let me get away with it every now and again.
All right. Even then.
Opportunity to close here. And Macken says no. There's the first headshot. Molotov extinguishes on the A site. As the flashbangs up top are probably going to give some advantages. Ryko able to drop that bomb out in the open, and that levels up the numbers here in a 4 versus 4 with Macken very low, caught behind the sandbags. 1HE would have been able to take him away. Nevertheless, Honoris doesn't have any in play. Instead, it's the smokes, the flashes, to gain a little advantage onto this A site. As they throw them right over the top, this is going to give them at least an entry and an opening. The smoke's placed as well, and straight tapping this bomb. This is going to force out the advantage for them. And here come the frags, 3 for 3. As Twinks needs to do everything. It's series open. Honoris, they break